everyone. Hello, all. Welcome to this March 8th edition of Show Business. I come to you, as always, as CP.
And I guess I'm next then. I'm Lindsey of My 2 Cents of Nonsense. We're flying with our Fuego tonight, but we love him and we miss him. But to you, Chauncey.
Yes, I am Chauncey K. Robinson of Twisted CKR. It's so weird seeing my face so much on the screen.
Okay, there we go.
I love that much better. I was like, why am I like so close? I don't even know. Can I move this way?
Yeah, just stay still. Just don't move.
Yeah.
But
hi.
Hi. We missed you last week. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And Fuego, of course, as you can tell, is not with us. He's got some stuff he's taking care of at home, and we'll see him next week. Here's just a revolving door at this point. It's fine. We'll all take a moment away, and we can shoulder the load as long as there's everybody but me. We're doing okay. Just quick to say hello in the chat. What's up, Dale? What's up, Darren? What's up, Sky? What's up, Jake? What's up, Deadhead? What's up, Sean? Ryan, Dice, Tim, Joey.
One breath.
Okay. So I guess we'll start with the one thing that we've all probably been caught up with, and that is actually Wandavision, which
yes.
I can finally say that I'm on the same level with the rest of you guys. And I guess we didn't hear anything from you, Chauncey. We actually didn't talk about it before we went live. So I'm going to turn right to you and ask you how you felt about it. I know you have Chauncey's link is down below, and you've been covering this start to finish, haven't you?
I did. I've been doing a live stream with my brother Damon, and each week we did a deep dive with Easter eggs and everything, and a space for people to talk about all the theories that didn't actually happen in the live stream for each week. So yeah, I really enjoyed the series. It was, honestly, I went into Scarlet Witch when I first heard she was getting a series, her and Vision. I was like, why? Because I was just like, I don't know who is this character to really get a series, because I hadn't read her comic and stuff. It's usually the bigger ones you kind of read and everything like that. And when I finished it, I was like, wow, I want to dress up as her as for Halloween next year and make Michael be Vision. You know what I mean? Like, that's how much I came to really love this character and that journey, and I'm really excited. I think it opened up things for Doctor Strange 2, the Multiverse of Madness, which she's supposed to be appearing in, and I just thought it was so well done. I mean, there were a few disappointments just because I feel like it was more so us as the audience building up so much, because it was like, oh my gosh, what could this mean? Especially if you read the comics and things like that, you have so many theories. And so I think there was a little disappointment when certain things didn't follow through to the height that we thought it was. But I think overall, if we didn't have that high expectation, I think people would really love this series, which I did.
Mm-hmm.
Lindsey.
I agree with that a lot. I love theorizing, and I love discussing where I think stuff is going with friends of mine. Like, for a while, I thought the WandaVision was going in the direction because they kept talking about that one episode of bringing people back to life, and they kept pushing spoilers.
Oh yeah, wait, full spoilers, guys. So
yeah, just be tread lightly, friends.
When we're done doing spoiler talk, I'll put this back up, so that's your warning to if you want to mute it or whatever. We're going to be spoiling for now. But when I throw the image up, we're done.
Sweet.
So go on, Lindsey.
So after all that episode of we're going to bring this back, and can you do this? Can you do that? Like, I thought they were going to do something like try and bring back like a Marvel villain that had died or something. Like maybe Agatha was trying to bring back Thanos all along or something. And like, that would have been nuts. And me and my friends had fun, theorizing about that. But obviously that wasn't going to happen. And I'm not upset because that didn't happen. I really liked the show. I thought it stayed true to the story that it was trying to tell about this woman dealing with her grief, about trying to find that family that was constantly stripped away from her entire life. I think those themes really carried through until the end, and I really appreciated it. I think if some of the fan stuff had come into play, it would have gotten in the way of that. Like, if suddenly the Fantastic Four was there and they just saved the day because they were there, it wouldn't have been about Wanda anymore. It would have been about, hey, the Fantastic Four are here. So I kind of like that it stayed small. That's just me though. Like, if you're upset, you do you, boo.
Oh,
Like, yeah. It's I'm not belittling anyone's frustration with the piece of media that they got really involved in, because that's the point. We're supposed to get invested,
I guess. I mean, I'm one of those. I can give or take it. To be honest with you, I was frustrated because I steamrolled through 6 episodes, made myself stop, and I was like, all right, let me wait till the rest is here because I'm probably going to binge the shit out of it. And it kind of fell a little flat for me in the ending because it just ended up being this side story that had no real consequences or anything. It was just kind of, here's her doing her own thing in her head, and we do get the shit. I don't know anybody's names. The neighbor character ended up being Agatha. Yeah, she ended up being a big deal at the end there, but I don't know. It was an interesting gimmick. I enjoyed the fact that they did the TV show thing. There's a couple of things that don't make sense to me, like why they would have kids if she didn't really have kids. Like there was a couple of things that isolated. It's like, wait, why this and why this and why that? But I guess if it like translated into something that could happen or affect the characters in the future, it might be a bit more important to me. The problem I have with the show is if you don't watch the show, you're fine. Like there's no, FOMO if the next Avengers movie comes out and it's, these characters as per usual.
Well, it'll depend, kind of. Like, sorry. Well, it feels like they're building up to Wanda being a big bad here in the near future because she's got such a power boost by the end of this, and she's like chilling with that dark hole or dark portal,
the Darkhold, yeah,
or Darkhold. Thank you. I was like, what's that book called? But go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I actually don't think she's being set up to be a big bad. Her power does go beyond the sorcerer of the supreme sorcerer, which is actually Doctor Strange, and he's the one that's supposed to be the sorcerer that is the lead of Earth right now, right? So I think there's going to be maybe a standoff between the two of them because you have these two powerful beings, and the last scene in that the second final scene had Doctor Strange music over it, his theme music over it. So it was hinting if people read news stuff, we already know she's supposed to be in Multiverse of Madness, right? She's supposed to feature in Doctor Strange too. I don't think she's going to be the big bad, but I think they needed to get her to her real comic book counterpart because of course studio stuff messes with things because they had got the rights to her, but not Pietro. So that's why he got killed off super early as Quicksilver. But then they couldn't really go into her true origin as this big, powerful sorceress and the whole supernatural thing. And also the fact that technically, because they didn't own the rights to X-Men either, they couldn't go into the idea that Magneto is her father or anything like that. So they needed to get to this part for this character so you could see just how powerful she is for Phase 4. So I think it really did set up kind of a re-origin story for Wanda to be the Scarlet Witch. I don't know if they had planned it where they never gave her name up until that moment, or if it was just like serendipity, like, we never really called her the Scarlet Witch, probably because of copyright or something, but now we can. So let's make it a whole thing where she truly becomes, because they hadn't had her have any of those kind of powers that she ended up getting anytime before, because they always just said it was, it's the Infinity Stone and that's how she got it. But then, it was a re-origin story. So I appreciated that. And I do think it was, unlike The Stand, like just to randomly compare, like The Stand, if you watch The Stand on CBS, which was horrible, that miniseries, you really had to be someone who already read the book or watched the 90s one, I felt like, because it was so much stuff where it wasn't really followed through to the point to pack the punch unless you saw it coming. I think anyone coming outside of it would have been like, why is this so significant? This doesn't feel epic. But with WandaVision, I felt like it gave a good balance of people who know the comics, which is why there were so many fan theories and things like that, and people who are new to who Wanda was for Phase 4. And I do think it has some stuff that influences. I mean, we have Monica, her having powers. She's supposed to be in Captain Marvel too. And this was kind of her mini origin. They'll probably explore it more, and just, setting the stage for the fact that you have this huge magical entity going on in the universe, which will lead to Multiverse of Madness. So, they'll probably re-explain it wherever they end up. But if the people want a more in-depth one, I would definitely say they'd have to watch WandaVision just to get the idea of the kind of powers that are capable now in the MCU.
Yeah, it's strange. Like this show kind of proved it. I forgot. It might have been Fuego. It might have been Peter. I don't remember who the comic, aficionado was that said that she's actually very, very strong, and they don't really play that up in any of the MCU movies prior to this. So, it's confusing. It's perhaps frustrating, but they do have that still in the chamber there if they want to explore her getting like really, really like badass.
Well, yeah, she was studying the Darkhold, which is, there's a whole chapter on her, right? And her bringing about the end of the world. And so she finally got to bring in the Darkhold. And she's studying it now, which is, I mean, the thing is, there were a lot of Easter eggs in there too, like certain things that if someone wasn't aware of comic book stuff wouldn't get certain things, like the Nexus commercial and how that's connected to the Nexus gate, and the fact that it plays into the idea of being able to go into other worlds, and how Wanda herself is a Nexus figure, and that she's the same in any other universe. There were things like that would be really exciting for people who know that. But if it wasn't, it's just like, oh, that's cute commercials.
Yeah.
Like,
I knew the Stark Industries one, but other than that, I was
it was, they did it. And I guess some, it was kind of like, it was kind of great for people who either wanted to revisit those plot stuff or knew it, to be like, yeah, you know how people like to be in the know. Like, well, if you don't really get it, let me tell you the thing. I mean, I was like, well, she was originally connected to X-Men. Like, that's why I did the live stream, because there was so much I wanted to say about where the connections go from, even though, because I didn't read her stuff, I read other characters connected to her and the world she used to belong into. So I thought it was really good. I saw someone, I think it was Jack Sliter in the comment section, actually mention how Evan Peters was a waste.
I was just going to
and I totally do agree with that. I was so annoyed by that. I was like, you thought an Evan Peters to just be Ralph Boner? Like you could have brought in some idea that Agatha brought him in from another universe, because he did play Quicksilver, and it really was stunt casting that didn't have a payoff. And that did disappoint me, because I'm like, you literally have the guy that played Quicksilver in the other property. Why are you just making him some rando person in Westview?
Are they allowed to?
Yeah, they can now. They own it. They finally, bought it got it, so they can do that now. That's why I thought it was so exciting, because oh my gosh, they're bringing in a second Quicksilver. How does this? Oh my gosh, what does this mean? And then it turns out Ralph Boner. I'm like, really? And then all of us thought Ralph was really going to be Mephisto, which is like this mythical big bad in the Marvel universe of like kind of the equivalent of the devil, and that never panned out. But they were hinting at it, and it was like, so there are a few things that didn't follow through.
I do appreciate the fact that what's her name again? The neighbor? Agatha. She brought up the line.
Agnes is her in
right. Agnes is the neighbor.
But Agatha.
I do like how she brought up that they had a cast replacement for the brother. I was like, that's neat.
Very meta.
Yeah. I really dug that little line, but. Lindsey, you've been getting stepped on all night. Go ahead.
No, you're good, dude. I kind of wish that they didn't have the boner joke. It made me smile, but it was kind of like, oh, okay. But I did like the payoff that he was Ralph, because like throughout the show, Agnes is constantly saying like, oh, tell that to my husband, Ralph. Why don't you? and so like that was cute. I really like that they brought that back and made that a thing. But it's so funny to me. Like maybe it's just like, you know, like the way people look at things. But I never looked at Evan Peters being there as, and again, this is just me. I'm not, you know, attacking anyone's views or anything. I'm just saying that I always do it as like, oh, something is off here. Like this isn't Quicksilver. This is tied into the whatever the bigger thing is. I never really viewed it as, oh, here come the X-Men. But maybe I don't know. But I'm not really one of those guys that like sat around and like when you watch like Winter Soldier, for instance. I never thought in Winter Soldier, where's Hulk?
Oh.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, it's Captain America's movie. That's why Hulk's not there. And that's kind of how I approached this show too. While I was reading online, how everyone was doing the exact opposite.
It was exciting though. I will say it was exciting that we had a weekly show. I know people had a problem with that it was coming out weekly, but like this and the Meghan Markle interview that the world was watching yesterday, it was just kind of exciting to get back to like events, you know. They even did it with Mandalorian. I didn't watch Mandalorian because I don't care for Star Wars, but except for the original episodes, I don't like who's that girl, the British one. I didn't care for any of that. No, that lead one who I thought was a Mary Sue, the one who ended up Ray.
Oh, Rogue One.
Yeah, Ray. Yeah. I just thought she was kind of Mary Sue, so I couldn't get into the new ones. But yeah, they just are really bringing back the whole weekly event type thing, and I didn't know I missed it until we started getting it again.
Yeah, I agree on that. Like I miss the days of like sitting around the TV with my family waiting for that week's episode of Lost to come on. But I also miss like playing with the bunny ears to get the reception right, like halfway through the
show.
Christina Healy says you can hear Wanda's kids are wanting her help at the end, so they are probably stuck in a different universe and Mephisto might have them.
Yeah, I do think there's a chance. My brother Damon was all about Mephisto, and we kept getting on him that he was going to be wrong. He was wrong on his birthday. That's when March 6th. Mine was March 1st. His was March 6th.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, for your B-Day, you were wrong. Mephisto. But he was right about Pietro. He was like, he kept calling him Pietro, like fake Pietro. And I didn't want to believe it. But I agree with Christina that I do think there's a chance Mephisto might come in.
Well, at some point or another, yeah. Like they've already teased. I'm going to say his name wrong. Dormammu. Okay, I think I got it right actually. So like they are playing with like, you know, like the like, you know, the I guess the mythology within the world. Like I don't know if they'll ever bring in like the one above all, who is basically God, or the one beneath all. I think that's what the devil's called. I can't. I don't read comics. But I think like Mephisto would be interesting because isn't Mephisto the character in the comics that's behind like offerings? Spoilers for 30-year-old comics. Peter Parker a way out of being Spider-Man so he can finally be with MJ, or like, hey, I'll
just
bring
don't
back
wear the
Aunt
outfit.
May.
There were a few things he did. He was also connected to, I believe, Fantastic Four, just like Agatha was. Agatha's first appearance was actually in Fantastic Four and stuff like that. So there's a lot of whatever. Well, I was so excited. I just recently finally bit the bullet and bought the Marvel Unlimited app so I can read all the comics anytime I want, and also the DC Unlimited one, although I hate to admit the Marvel one is better, but the app is way better, which I'm disappointed because the DC one actually costs more.
Okay, so here's your
also they didn't do themselves any favors if Agatha premiered in Fantastic Four and you know, and then like they tease like the aerospace thing. That's kind of a dick move, you know. Maybe they should have tried to do a little damage control at that point. I'll say that. But anyway, proceed, CP.
Yeah, Dice has it right. I'm definitely a Daisy simp, so it's all right. We'll get to her in a minute. First, we had 2 super chats. Sean with €2. Thank you. Want to ask the crew thought. It's just money from a different country.
I know.
Want to ask the crew thoughts on the Silent Night reboot.
Oh,
I hadn't heard it. Let me see.
I had not heard that. But
yeah, they just announced they're doing another like a remake. We don't have much of anything as far as news is concerned. They're just remaking Silent Night, Deadly Night.
That's the one with the killer Santa Claus, right?
Yeah, that has a sequel that they have no business having a sequel to. But there's no director, there's no actor right now, so it's kind of hard I've never seen the original. I've seen the infamous second one and all of its glory for being one of the best, worst movies ever. But I have nothing to go on, to be honest with you. I don't know about you guys.
I don't know anything, but honestly, like I love all of like the Krampus stuff that's been coming out the last few years and stuff like that. So yeah, give me all your dark evil Santa. Let's go. Let's have fun. Like
I don't know if they're going to be focusing on Santa. It was just a dude who was a serial killer dressed up as Santa.
Well, that's even better then. Okay, yeah, just like
yeah, I just read that. I guess there was like 5 sequels to it, and the first one wasn't. Yeah, there were 5 sequels, and the first one it wasn't even that great. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of split on it because I've been having this existential crisis a little bit with horror these days, where I'm just a little tired of reboots, and I feel like we as a horror community, it's like we should. I don't know. I just feel like in the mainstream, they should be bringing in more unique stories as opposed to always having to go indie to get the unique story, because in mainstream that gets most of the attention, it's always reboots and remakes. And I get a little tired of that. But I guess, I like horror Christmas stuff. So. Yeah.
You know, what they need to do is they need to give Ari Aster big budget movie release. I just wanted to annoy Chauncey. But I do agree.
Who's he doing a movie with? He's doing a movie with somebody that I just heard. And I was like, why?
Ari Aster?
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up real quick here. But I do agree that a lot of horror is like, it's so formulaic, I guess. Like, I feel like everything's just trying to do the Blumhouse model, and Blumhouse model has produced some good movies. I love Sinister. I like the first 2 Insidious movies. But yeah, exactly. Like, it's kind of, it's getting old. It's like the Marvel formula with the movies. You need to shake it up a little bit more. Yeah, that too. But even non-Blumhouse movies, like there was like 2 or 3 that I managed to see last year before quarantine hit that just felt interchangeable with each other. I mean, I also saw Gretel and Hansel, which was my favorite movie of last year. But like, even when you're not going for that model, you still all feel the same. Like I think it was The Boy 2, The Turning of the Screw, and there was one other one, and they all just felt so like you could just like copy paste scenes into each other. The horror needs a shakeup. I agree with that.
Yeah, even the idea of what stuff that's supposed to be edgy kind of just feels like the same kind of stuff that's edgy, or things that are supposed to be woke feel like the same kind of stuff that's supposed to be woke. And I'm just like, where is it? And then sometimes, I look at indie stuff and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But then sometimes those are just, it's hit or miss a little bit with indie ones.
Yeah. Black Christmas was obnoxious.
I heard that. Yeah.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it because it was
consider yourself lucky.
Yeah, I just hadn't watched, but I did read the whole plot of it, and I was like, "How is this the same? Why is this even being called that?" Because I watched the first one, and I loved the first one, and I felt like the first one actually had, because one of the things is the whole thing of, oh my God, they're shoehorning feminism and everything, but I actually thought the first one, without bludgeoning us over the head with it, was what had a feminist, strong woman cast, and
horror's always had
character. Well, sometimes depending on how they're taught, treated.
Right,
but like I think in that particular case, and for it to be like the 70s, I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. But then when I read the plot of it, I was like, it's kind of like the whole thing with Promising Young Woman, where it's just like they tried, and I know everyone has so many accolades about it, but it's like it's just not done well in the sense of, I don't know, the way it plays out. So yeah.
Chauncey, did you see I Care a Lot?
No, I've been hearing about it. It kind of made me uncomfortable. I mean, I know it's a thing of it's a dark comedy, right?
Yeah.
And this idea
I don't know if we call it a comedy,
right? It's the thing about these people taking advantage of older people or something. And I'm like, I know dark comedy is supposed to be dark, but damn, I mean, am I supposed to follow these characters around? Like, I don't know. It didn't interest me. Yeah, it didn't interest me.
It's sorry, Chino, $2. Can you comment on Cool Duder's new directorial debut?
I'm looking that up.
Chauncey Phillips.
Yeah, I've never heard of this guy before, but he's made a billion things. It looks like
he's a YouTuber who's big in the Blu-ray community, and yeah, he lives out there with you guys, and he's been in a ton of D-rate, low budget stuff. And apparently, this is the first time I'm hearing about this, Chino. To be honest with you, I didn't know that he directed something. So, I'm assuming you guys don't know who it is. First of all, secondly, don't know the news.
Well,
I'm looking it up
IMDb
now.
Page is insane. There are so many pre-production or filming or movies that he's in. Like I am envious of this man's IMDb page. I have IMDb envy.
Okay.
It's called Cool Duders.
No, that's his YouTube name.
Right.
Interesting.
So Lindsey, do you have what he's got on deck as a director?
So what he's even under the directing thing, he's got a few things that looks like shorts or segments and stuff like that. But it looks like the movie is going to be either Motel from Hell, which is a great name, or something called Scream Bloody Murder. And there doesn't seem to be a lot of, oh, never mind. Okay, so Motel from Hell, 3 girls, 2 rooms, 1 diabolical psychopath with an axe, 0 chance of survival. Welcome to Motel Hell is the tagline for the movie.
Cool.
Yeah, might be fun.
Sure.
I've never been a big Blue Silver kind of guy, so I don't know much about this dude. I like the name Motel from Hell. There's some nice
doesn't take much, Lindsey, does it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find that silver lining here, guys. Come on. Yeah, no, I don't have much to say about him, sadly. Thank you for the super chat, though.
Yes, thank you, Chino. I don't know nothing about his YouTube career. I would say feels promising for filmmaking, but
Shade.
Why?
Like, listen.
Get an honest opinion. You got it. You asked for a comment. Until we see something.
45 credits. I just saw that on IMDb.
How many of them can you genuinely say you know?
None of them, but that's still a lot. Like you look at Frank Welker's page, he's got like 5,000, but like how many of them have you actually heard of? Because he's like,
I don't even know who Frank Welker is.
You would, if you looked at his IMDb page, you would instantly know who he is. But anyone that's got big ones, I'm always impressed by. It means the work. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So Chauncey Phillips. Oh, yep. Okay. I was like, did this guy have my name?
If you hear him talk, you would think his name is Chauncey. The way
what does that mean?
He says Chauncey so fast. He says Chauncey.
Oh.
It's always Chauncey Phillips.
I thought you was like, oh, he sounds like a person.
No. That's like me saying my name's Charles K. Charles K.
Yeah. Okay.
And
it looks like this was like a Kickstarter type thing that got funded.
Oh, no.
That's what it looks like. It kind of became
the target amount raised.
I think it was like 30-something thousand. Is it called Scream Bloody Murder? Is that what it was?
See, Lindsey, that was the other one. It could be.
Wait, sorry, I missed it. I was looking at something in the chat. Sorry,
it's Scream Bloody Murder.
Oh, it's Scream Bloody Murder. Okay, so I'll look at that one here then.
Okay, so yeah, it looks like Chauncey Phillips. Maybe this one was already done, but this was a goal of 5,000, and they ended up raising 30,000.
God damn.
Cool.
Better put that on the screen.
I hope it's good. Yeah,
it's times as much.
Scream Bloody Murder, yeah, and they they had a stretch goal, new $35,000 stretch goal, and
filming 5, 6, and you got 30. You still need more.
Yeah, they got 618% of their $5,000 stretch goal with 140 backers, and spring of 2021 is when filming starts.
The tagline is sorority sisters are stalked by an unknown killer on Halloween night.
All right, so we're going to start a Kickstarter for our film. It'll be like
a mockumentary.
I'm down.
I love it. I got Jim looks for days.
Right? No, I mean it's exciting when people do Indiegogo and it's a community back sort of thing, because I see a lot of those, especially in the horror community, because it tends to be indie, right? Because for whatever reason, like we were just saying, a lot of the mainstream stuff is the same people and they're just kind of rehashing. So I mean, best of luck if I haven't seen any of its other stuff.
Well, like I said, as long as he puts that money on the screen, it'll be interesting because he's 6 times past his original goal. So I'm sure somebody will remind me about it when it comes out. So,
and then you could do a whole thing of it, like
reaction.
you did with the Jason fan film type thing. So,
and then I'll get yelled at for being a dick, and
you'll be canceled again.
I haven't been canceled yet in March, so I guess I could go again.
You can cancel at least once a month, CP. We love you though. Okay, no one else needs you but us.
Me and my thick skin, I'm good. Daniel, $5. Thank you. Which ending to the movie I Am Legend do you guys prefer? You asked this last week, didn't you? And I still haven't watched it.
Is it the one with Will Smith?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, there's the one with Will Smith, and then there's oh no, the book was I Am Legend, but then there's the movie Omega
Man with
Omega Man. Yeah.
Was it Charleston Heston?
Yeah, that's the one I like. I like Omega Man. Charleston Heston one. That was boss. I love that movie. I Am Legend was all right. The CGI kind of vampires back when CGI wasn't totally cool looking just yet. But I think he dies at the end, doesn't he?
So I'm trying to remember. So
I didn't see the altar.
So yeah, there's the ending where he commits suicide in order to protect the cure that he's procured at the last moment. So the sniper lady from Predators can take her son to an encampment of people. So this thing. I'm blanking on her name. I actually like her a lot as an actress.
Yeah, she was in Repo Men too.
She was in Repo Man. You're right, and she was the scientist lady in New Mutants recently. She's a very good actress. I hate that I can't think of her name.
I don't remember anybody's name. If that makes you feel any better, so.
Fair enough. But
I forgot what your name is.
I'm Dylan.
Okay.
And then it's like, like the legend is that he cured everybody or something. Is the original ending? I'm trying to remember what no. I mean, that's what the theatrical ending was. I'm trying to remember what the original ending was.
Yeah, I don't remember. And I remember. I feel bad. You've asked this before, and I haven't acquainted myself with the movie since. And I wish I was more prepared.
I read the book, and in the book, the ending's great because this dude realizes he's literally the last human being on the planet, and maybe it's the same in Omega Man. I never saw it, but like in a world full of vampires, the monsters aren't the vampires. The monster is the human that hunts all the vampires throughout the day, and that's a great ending. I love the book. It's different in the movie, but it's also like a whole different approach, and like it's a different story, and yada yada yada. I'll try and watch it this week if I can, or if I remember. You can probably find that online, but will we be able to find the
alternate? That might be on YouTube.
Yeah.
They probably play those things. I'm pretty sure.
If it's just the ending, and Dice, you got a deal. When we make our Indiegogo $30,000 movie, you can provide noises.
I say we start off at like 8,000, and then that way we can get a flexible goal.
Oh, wait a minute. Speaking of Indiegogo and films, Chauncey, do you want to tell us something?
What?
Aren't you raising money for a movie yourself right now?
No.
Who told me that?
I don't know that wasn't me.
Hey, what made me think that you were doing a film right now?
We're professionals here, guys. Like,
I am in a film coming out. I'm not sure when it's coming out, but it's a remake of Stepfather, called The Stepdaddy, with Vincent M. Ward from Walking Dead. He's the lead, and it's kind of instead of Stepfather, for those who have ever watched that horror movie, it's Stepdaddy because he's black, Stepdaddy, and so I'm in that one.
I don't. My brain is slowly turning on me, and I don't know. Maybe I dreamt it, and
when you said that, I was like, "What?"
That's so weird. I fucking hate my head, man.
Oh,
that's so strange. You'll remember me more than I do, apparently. So you guys, neither of you have seen Coming to America?
No, I want to though, and I hate the way people are judging it.
Oh,
yeah. Well, a lot of people are. I don't know. I feel like I don't know from what I'm prepared to love it. So maybe that's just because of what it means to me, and it just looks really funny, and I'm going to take it as a funny movie. But I felt like some of the comparisons that I'm reading online, people are like, this is a bad movie. And, you know, just this idea that it's a former shade of what it was and da, 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 da. And I think, I don't know. I feel like when it comes to nostalgia, people just build up things to be. I mean, yes, Coming to America was hilarious. It's comedy classic, but it's like you kind of take this one for what it is too, which is kind of a reunion and new faces and new blood, and that's what Eddie Murphy has always done in a lot of his popular movies, like Harlem Nights and Boomerang, where he brings in other Black Hollywood type people and things like that.
It's kind of showcase them. Here.
Yeah, to showcase that, and I don't know. I just feel like people, I don't know what they went in expecting. Because I doubt it's not funny, because
it's not as funny as the first one.
Yeah, but
I don't know if that's saying much, but you know, that first one's a classic.
I mean, how can you really compare? Do you think? I mean, I don't know.
Sure. I felt like it was neutered because the first one felt like it was a bit more adult oriented. This one feels a bit more family oriented.
Yeah.
And at times, like, it was great. I mean, you mentioned it before. The nostalgia is really, really incredible. I mean, the amount of characters that they bring back and the amount of characters that, like, I forgot about one. I was like, holy shit, that person's back. That's incredible. And they do some incredible work. I don't know if it's CGI or what, but they'll intertwine clips from the original, and some people will show up from that period, and it's like, wait a minute, that person's got to be at least 50 now. What? That doesn't make sense. But yeah, it was great seeing all the characters. Like, I don't think they passed any character without revisiting like where they are now. It's just, I felt like A, it was neutered, and B, they didn't do anything with the story. It I don't want to say unnecessary again, but I felt like it could have, you know, it's not coming to America, it's coming to Africa, to be honest with you. A lot of it takes place in Zamunda, and I don't know. We'll have to touch back when everybody sees it, because it's hard to just shoot off my opinions without anybody to bounce it off of. But I give it 3 stars, 3 out of 5. But you know, it's like we said before, it's hard to compare it to something so classic. But yeah,
I heard Wesley Snipes stole the show.
Oh,
a bit.
I was
he's
telling
a good comedic actor.
I'm glad he's getting work. I told Lindsey this before you got in the room. I said, yeah, the guy, what he did was what our president did. It's good to see him getting work again. And he's proven that he deserves the work. I mean, especially in the what was the other one on Netflix?
Dolomite.
Dolomite. Yeah, he was.
Dolomite, yeah.
I felt like he should have been nominated for that. Yeah. And you know,
I love that him and Eddie are working together so much.
I know.
Too.
I know.
Like, this is awesome. This is like worlds collide, and that should be more of that. I mean, I've always liked Wesley Snipes. New Jack City. I mean, he can go from playing. Oh my gosh, New Jack City is epic. He is the epic villain. Like, to go from that to being such a hero in Blade, and he has such versatility that he doesn't get a lot of credit for. Like, I remember what was the movie with him and Sylvester Stallone where he played
Demolition Man.
Yeah, and he was amazing in that movie. I was like, this is an amazing movie. And Wesley Snipes was funny. He was also kind of crazy. I was like, this is amazing. And I don't think he gets enough credit. And, you know, even with Blade coming out, the reboot, I'm like, I hope they tap him to show up somehow. Yeah. You know,
he still looks good. I don't know why.
Yeah. And the thing is, they could have had him play it. But I think it's more so they're doing, you know, they're rebooting it. And for whatever reason, they seem to be, the tentative title is like Blade the Vampire Slayer. And I don't know what that's about. Because it sounds like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and they're going to make it PG-13. And that's what it's leaning towards. So it's a little weird. And I'm glad that he's still very active, because I remember he had that whole taxes thing, you know.
Yeah, but again, nothing different than our president. So
exactly. And they were trying to, like, you know, string him up. So I'm glad he's back.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Wesley, we wouldn't have had the best line in Blade. Some motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill. Like, it's the greatest line ever. It makes no sense, but it's so good.
He has some great one-liners throughout his career. It's
He really
just
does.
New Jack City has so many. He was just
Shit.
amazing in that movie.
I'm gonna have to watch that now too.
So, by the way, while you guys are, because I've never actually seen the original Coming to America.
Okay.
While you guys are talking, I did some reading and I watched the ending of I Am Legend.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
The
so
alternate
what did you
ending.
think?
Honestly, it's better than the theatrical. It's a lot closer to the book, how I said, because instead of it just ending with him being the savior and everyone forever talking about Will Smith and blah 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 blah, he comes to, as the Darkstalkers are, because that's what the vampires are called in the movie, are attacking his house and they get driven into the basement like they are in the theatrical cut of the movie. Instead of Will Smith blowing everybody up with a grenade, he realizes that the reason why the Darkstalkers are all there is because the vampire, that's easier to say, so I'm just gonna say that the vampire that he's been experimenting on is like the lover of the alpha vampire that's leading the attack on his house, and they're not there to kill him. And Alice Braga, I looked her name up too. They're
Cheater.
there to say, they're there to save his vampire hubby wubby love dog person of adorableness. I don't know what I was trying to say there. And Will Smith just gives him to her, and realizing that he has become their nightmare because they're scared of him the way that he's scared of them, and so he actually abandons the cure and just goes and lives a life with Alice Braga and her son, kind of like the ending in the movie we got, but without the pontificating about legends and stuff like that. I think that's a better ending. I really do. Like the one in the movie's fine, but it's just so cut and dry and cliche. Like this seems like a legitimately better ending, but it also seems like it's another case of early test screening ruining a good thing, because the early screeners didn't really seem to get it or didn't seem to care, and so then they recut it with the ending of him being the hero, and apparently everybody loved it. And
You mean an audience between the ages of 17 and 64 couldn't agree on what to do with a movie? That's crazy. Fucking morons.
I guess, yeah.
Well, this group of 17 to 64 think that we should change it, so we're going to change it.
I've only been to a couple of those in my time. They're such a weird experience.
How do you even get invited to a test screening? Like, do you just fill out something, or
I can send you the info that I have.
There's a few ways. Like the restaurant I used to work in is right. Well, I mean, it's gone. The movie theater is still there if movie theaters ever opening up again. So whenever they would do the screenings at the theater, they would bring in the flyers to the restaurant. And, if I was off that night, I'd be like, oh yeah, I do that. And they'd be like, Mr. Pankhurst, do you work in the industry, or are you a YouTuber who discusses movies? And I just say, nope. And they would just move on.
Yeah, I learned my lesson. I got kicked out of. It's not even out yet. It's not even out yet.
It's still not out. That's right.
Run, sister, run, sweetheart, run.
Is that the Blumhouse one?
Yeah, that's one. And then I got to see another one that I still cannot talk about. So, we keep getting emails. Well, not anymore, but we were getting emails pretty persistently. Persistently? There's a new word. Fuck it. Constantly. For stuff that it seems like Blumhouse likes to test stuff over here for some bizarre reason, and I don't know why, because it's a shit theater. But
it's fun though. I really like watching like the special effects that are like 75% done.
Yeah, there was no music on the stuff that we saw. I was like, well, this is kind of jarring, actually.
It's just a different way to watch a movie, and I don't know. I'm fascinated. It's why I kind of want, as much as I'm happy that the Snyder Cut is coming out, because like let's just see it already. Yeah. I kind of wish they released the work print with like the partially done special effects,
just like a stick figure.
Exactly. No, I'm sure it'll be great. I'm sure it'll be. I'm excited. I'm putting my not liking Batman v Superman aside. I just want to see the movie at this point, but I also would have liked to have seen the work print.
Well, Lindsey, it's a nice little segue you created for yourself there. You want to talk about that hot news that was out for 2 hours there or less?
Well, again, I don't want to say too much, but
well, it happened, right? I mean,
right? Yeah. It's just a news story. We'll just talk about it like that. Someone at Warner Brothers did a boo-boo, and people that went to watch Tom and Jerry for about an hour and a half or 2 hours got to see about an hour or two of Justice League instead, of Zack Snyder's Justice League instead. I don't know if anyone saw the entire movie. I read a couple of things.
That'd be frustrating if somebody was like, all right, fine, I'll watch this. And then they just cut it off.
Right. And you're just getting into it. Like, what just happened?
Like when you're playing a demo for the video game that's like hours and hours long, but then the demo just stops suddenly. So I saw little clips because at first just on Twitter I was just scrolling through Twitter and they're like, oh, that looks like Justice League. It was a new trailer and I watched it, be like, why is the quality so low? Why is there no sound? Like what's going on? And then I read the comments. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is someone filming on their TV with their phone, so that's why it looks bad and there's no sound. So I'm not going to comment on what it looked like because obviously the quality was terrible. But I think that's really funny. This poor movie just can't get a break. Just more and more things just keep happening, and it's just we're 2 weeks away now at this point. Let's just watch it already. Can we just get there?
Like you tripped. What is like, just push it. If it's ready, just push it. Like what are you tied to this date for? They
probably have some big thing planned for the day of, I guess, and I do appreciate that. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Yeah,
Chauncey?
a little bit before the actual release of it for the public audience, there's like this virtual premiere thing happening too. So they've got that going on, and probably kind of like what they probably did for Wonder Woman. Where it's like the stars can talk about it, maybe mini red carpet or something like that, and things and whatnot. So
also, I guess it's an event, and how many events do people have right now? Like, let's give us something to be excited for and look forward to, and wake up one day and be like, it's Justice League Day.
And it's 4 hours, right? It's about 4 hours long. And I feel like it's going to be a whole event. And I think it's cool that, although I am worried, this is one of the drawbacks of streaming, because I think the same thing happened to WandaVision when the season finale or the series finale came out, which was that some people couldn't get on because so many people were on at the same time as it dropped. I am a little worried and start trying to watch it that so many people are going to be watching it around the same time that day. Because I think that was the same thing happened. The same thing happened to Wonder Woman as well, where there were like glitches and things because people couldn't get on. So thank you for the birthday love. I appreciate it. I'm excited about it, but this is the one drawback of streaming. Where it's like, oh, everyone's watching it. Because I had the new Paramount Plus thing too.
Oh, why?
What do you mean, why? They got some stuff on there. That's pretty good. I mean, mind you, I kind of backdoored it in a way because I got it for The Stand. I got CBS All Access for The Stand. And I was going to cancel it right after they finished that, but then I saw Paramount Plus was going on, and they're going to be premiering the next Mission Impossible on there. They're
45 days after.
But still, if I'm not trying to rush over to, and I want to save some money, they have a whole bunch of other stuff from like MTV, things like that. So I was excited.
It has like 3 or 4 channels.
Yeah, they have MTV, BET, and everything, and they have Aeon Flux. If people remember,
sure,
not the show,
the movie. Oh, the movie.
Not the show. Okay. They've got the show from MTV, the original cartoon that inspired it, and I loved it. I watched the first episode yesterday, but but the thing is, what I was talking about with streaming, that had glitches. That still has glitches too. Paramount Plus. So I think, I don't know, they got to get it together, especially for these big premieres where everyone's watching it around the same time. That's the only thing I worry about with Justice League, that people are going to have stop and goes throughout 4 hours, and that's frustrating.
Yeah, wait till 3 a.m. and just start hit play then, and just.
Well, you better not do it the first day. You're gonna have to wait at least a day or two before you go watching it that hour. Sean, thank you. €2 again. Are any of you going to watch the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre? This is news to me.
Yeah.
I don't know where you're getting this info from, but you're literally giving me news right now. I didn't even know they were making one. I don't know if you guys are aware or what.
I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2021 poster teases new sequel. But that was back in October, I guess. That came out. So the new sequel serves as a continuation of Tobe Hooper's 1974 horror movie.
Oh, so it's a sequel of sorts then.
Yeah.
Do we have any?
I'm down.
Director, anything? Do we have anything?
I can't find anything specific. Apparently, there's something called Leatherface that came out in 2017.
Yeah,
I
that was a
didn't see
prequel.
Really? Why did he need a prequel from the first movie? We kind of got it. Like,
well, you need to have that scene where someone's just like, "Oh, Leatherface, man, you know what I hate? Chains. I'm really glad I don't saw a chain right now."
They have this like weird whodunit angle too, like you're trying to figure out who is the real Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's just,
that wasn't even what the movie was about.
I know it's not a whodunit. Don't do that.
It really was like a commentary on like working class and poor. But it's saying that cinematographer David Blue Garcia of I guess he did Tejano serves as a director for this new Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel, working from a script by Chris Delvin of Cobweb. I don't know. Do y'all know those names?
No.
Oh.
Cool.
And I don't know. I'm looking at the cast list. I also don't recognize anybody like that.
Okay, so it's fitting with the Leatherface type stuff, that straight to DVD, I'm assuming.
Oh, it didn't even get
Sounds like it.
Okay.
I mean, Sean, half of us here, or 2/3 of us are pretty heavy into horror, so it'll be watched in this house at some point.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. But once again, so many reboots.
Yeah.
So many reshoots. I feel, do we as horror people, like, is it just the nostalgia? I always see that meme where people are like, new 2021 horror movies, and me watching 1980 stuff, which I don't mind because I love classic stuff too. But I'm just like, we kind of stifle the genre when we don't respond well to actually going out of our comfort zone to watch stuff that isn't the next thing that we've already been seeing. I don't know, because the mainstream responds to what they think people will actually go watch, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that's like Community kind of, because we see with comic books, people are constantly wanting, like, give me something new, I want a new person, and I don't know, I feel like maybe we're different.
Yeah, with comedy and horror especially, it feels like those are two types of movies that really need to be, like, after about one generation or 10, 15 years, like, people are, picking up on stuff. Like, you can't do a comedy that was the same way 50 years ago as you can today. Same thing with horror. You gotta switch it up, because the tropes are a lot easier to find, and especially when you're going for a particular reaction to your movie, people aren't scared of the same shit they were 20 years ago. So you got to tweak a little bit. Although I don't know, make something that people want to remake 20 years from now. Like, what? I get it. Listen, if they announce Friday the 13th tomorrow, I'd be like, oh,
right? Same. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm so excited. Of course. And I just had this whole thing about we need stuff new. But oh my gosh, yes, Friday the 13th. Yeah, I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah, exactly. So
we're all hypocrites, don't worry.
Sure. It's difficult. I mean, we're getting a new Scream, which
just called Scream. Is that a Scream? It would be Scream 5 if it was
it should be Scream 5.
Yeah, but now it's just called Scream. I stopped after the third one, to be honest.
The fourth one's okay.
I heard it was all right.
It's better than the third one, I would think.
I get a little tired of the slasher thing after a few ones, though.
Yeah.
I don't think I've really ever, except for Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and Michael Myers and stuff, where I've watched I watched every new sequel, but certain other franchises, I'm like, after the third one, this is probably I'm okay. I don't need to know what happens.
Christina Healy, I don't know why they're making a Pet Sematary remake. Oh yeah, that's right. I would rather see the aftermath of people coming back to life. Did you hear about this, Chauncey? They're
Paramount Plus.
Oh. Proving me wrong already.
So they're doing that on Paramount Plus.
Is it this year?
I don't know if it's this year, but yeah, isn't it a prequel or something? Yeah. Like how we got? I don't know. cash grab.
Origin stories. You gotta
I don't
cash
know
in
what
on that
that's
shit.
about. I get it, but I don't think we need it, to be honest. But I agree. I agree with Christine. I don't necessarily think we need it because we already know that. I don't know.
Yeah, they give you the story, like you know that's it. You don't need to go back there and whatever. Jacob, if I wasn't me, I'd be very excited for this movie. Read into that however you want, but if I wasn't me, I'd be pretty excited for this movie. I don't know if you guys are anticipating Halloween Kills or not, but
don't is the answer. Don't.
I just don't. The last one was fine. Do we really need to keep doing this?
Same. That was my thought process too. I'm just worried, and you know what? I still haven't gotten an answer from a certain someone. If Lori is going, is she gonna die? Are they gonna kill off Jamie Lee Curtis's character? Because that's what I hate. I hate that. Good. Because what's the point of that? And that's what I'm scared for. Keep bringing her back. She's going to die. And I'm just like, just leave it alone. She got her revenge. I didn't particularly care for how they did her story in the previous one, to be honest. I was like, why can't she be what? I mean, I get it, trauma, but you know, she could have been well adjusted and things like that. It was kind of like
40 years.
Yeah. And you know, the thing is, it kind of goes against the idea of the final girl in a way. I mean, I get it for the sake of the movie having something of a heart to like a battle and everything, but it kind of tramples on her story of being able to get away and live a life, which they did let her do before they switched her to having a daughter back when she had Josh Hartnett as a son when she first came back. And I appreciated that one better than I appreciated this one, because at least she was like a teacher and she was trying to live life. She had some hang-ups.
H2O, right?
Yeah. You know, she had some hang-ups because trauma, of course, but for the most part, she had adjusted. And I just felt like this one kind of was like, she became a crazy lady who lives in it. I'm just like, what? It's like, it's a weird take.
Yeah.
It's a decision. And I mean, I guess it was kind of cool because it was like 3 generations of Strodes, I guess, that went up against Michael in the last one, and I guess that's cool, but it's still the same guy, so it's not like it's like 3 generations of Strodes versus like 3 generations of Michael Myers. Like...
And the thing is, they've always said, well, I guess for this new batch of movies, is he's just killing at will, and it's just random, whereas like Laurie Strode is so hung up on this, where Michael is just killing people. The reason that he bumped into her was because he was brought to her. And if they don't have the same invested as far as, you know, wanting to go after each other, I don't think it has the same weight, because he's just put anything in front of me, I'll fucking kill it. Where she's like, don't you remember? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I'd be excited. Airbag. I don't know what that means.
Did Aaron Anderson just get in a car crash? You okay, buddy?
Yeah, I hope you're all right. Jacob says, I think Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street, Sarah Connor, Sidney Prescott, and Ripley are the best final girls. It's a healthy list there.
I agree with you. I didn't like what they did with Sarah Connor originally when they had her just die of like cancer.
Oh, the third one or whatever, yeah.
And I was like, what? All that? And she dies of cancer? And I kept saying, I was like, he couldn't tell her that? Someone could have let her know that was going to happen.
Oh, by the way, next week you might
like maybe you should like go and check that out and get it early, taken care of. And I was like, that's cheap. And I think maybe that was because they had divorced by then or something, because she was with him in the beginning, but by then it was like, okay, they're not together, so I'm just gonna kill you off. But yeah, I agree. I've always loved Nancy. I think Heather Langenkamp is awesome. And I agree with you about Nancy being a great final girl.
Yeah. So Fuego, clicked this into our group that the AMC CEO raised his pay to $20.9 million. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if anybody deserves a raise in the movie theater industry, let alone one this last
why you
year.
fail at life, CP, because you don't understand capitalism. You don't get rewarded for doing a good job. You get rewarded for driving your business out of business. That wasn't my best sentence ever.
You gotta steer the stock price, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah.
That's why, like after the 2008 pop, why everything went back to normal, because all the CEOs went and bought up all the stock with all the money that they were given by the government, and everything is fine now.
Another group of Americans that I helped out with my tax dollars. And
yeah, right.
Yeah, people fell up in some of these industries, it's really weird. They get parting gifts of like set for life, and they could be leaving when they drove the company down. And it's like, well, now I'm finally stepping away. And at first you're like, oh, and then you're like, oh, like you're pretty much like just getting all the money without the work and these bonuses. And for an industry or entity, I guess, in the theaters being so-called in such dire straits and begging the government for bailouts and stuff, it's kind of like, where did you get the money to give yourself such a raise? I thought you all were in dire straits and y'all were closing down and on the brink of destruction, and yet here we are. And it doesn't compute, right? And I think all those thought pieces of trying to defend that industry might just be like, well, you see, this is who controls the reins. Maybe we should have wanted the empire to fall so that someone else could come up and bring in cinemas that wasn't so, guard heavy.
Well, the flip side to that coin, Chauncey, is something that you posted in our group, that Alamo Drafthouse, they filed for Chapter 11 last week.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're talking about, that they're much smaller. I mean, there's a couple of them across the country, but they're no AMC, obviously.
I think that's just also showing how, even with the cinema in this, I mean, you have it where these bigger chains still somehow, they just have to kind of hold on, or they get help and get more money that they probably really don't need. And the smaller ones, I don't want to call necessarily Alamo House like mom and pop or something like that, but they're a bit smaller.
Yeah, they're in between.
And those kind of entities tend to suffer more because they're not in the end. I don't know, they didn't donate to the right politician or any politician and things like that. And so they don't get access to that kind of stuff. So they just kind of have to suffer it. Which sucks. I've never gone to the Alamo House. I know they had opened one in Los Angeles, right? Lindsey, they had opened one.
I've been to one once, April 26th, I think like 3 years ago. Me and a friend went to go see Aliens on our, and it was like moderated by the lady who played Vasquez and the grown-up version of Newt. It was fun, and like the architecture was great, and there was like all this like cool memorabilia. It was a lot of fun.
I was going to ask you if I remember the date.
It was expensive, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, it's like what? Even the ticket prices are a little.
I think it was like $25 a ticket, something like that. Yeah, I mean, but it was. I'd never seen Aliens in theater before.
Yeah, I probably would have done that too. To be honest with you,
I wouldn't have. I'm not paying for that. That's ridiculous.
I'm not in a hurry to do it again, but as a one-time thing with a friend, it was worth it. Like, and actually, it was double worth it actually, because they announced a thing, an early screening of The Nice Guys at that me and my friend actually both managed to get into. So for $25 each, we got to see Aliens and then The Nice Guys a few weeks before.
That's good. Nice Guys is one of the better movies that year.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Yeah.
Cool.
That was actually my favorite movie that year.
Nice Guys. I think it's up there for me as well. I'm just trying to see if there's any other news that we missed. Oh, I'm sorry to everybody. I put up the thumbnail is half of Chaos Walking, and I don't know. Neither of you have seen it, right?
Sadly, no. But I want
the face Chauncey made. I'm sorry, Lindsey. Go ahead.
No, the face is amazing. Any movie that's described as unwatchable, I immediately wish to see. I just had a busy week, so I didn't get around to it.
This one.
Yeah.
With Daisy Ridley? Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that trailer and no. I wasn't interested, because then I read the synopsis for I think it's based on the book. And I read the synopsis for the book, and I feel like I heard that they really switched it around for the movie of where it's supposed to have gone and stuff. So,
yeah, when I heard the synopsis where like it's this planet where all the men, like their thoughts are visible, but not the women. In the back of my head, I was like, oh, fuck. If they do something like this in today's day and age and they make it like super woke or some shit, I was like, please just don't do the men and women thing. Just can you not do that, please?
I hear the book is very much like that, though. Right?
I've heard that it's quite a decent read. To translate that onto a film is something completely different and difficult. Doug Liman, who did Edge of Tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
am I thinking
Edge of Tomorrow, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Oh, that's right.
American Made, The Wall, not The Great Wall, a different movie that no one saw. He's a really good director. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's another. I think I give it 2.5 out of 5 stars. There's effort there. It just doesn't really pay off. Like it's neat what they do with the, seeing the thoughts, and it was really neat. But once that gimmick wore off, it was like, all right, can you tell a story now? And it's just they run, they're coming, they're constantly on the run, and then they bump into somebody that's trying to get them, and then they get away, and then they bump into somebody trying to get them. They bump into somebody, and it's just like, I need something. You got to give me something.
Interesting. Were they good? Was Tom Holland and
I was about to ask.
Yeah. I mean, they're both rather good. I mean, this is filmed, what, 17, 18? It's old. It's supposed to be out 2 or 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I was trying to figure out which Star Wars movie this was in between that she managed to film this. But this girl can't get a break. I don't think it's going to last very long. I don't think it's going to stick around. And there's nothing about it that, I mean, if people call it unwatchable, I don't know.
I think it was a studio head, so who knows? Like,
it's not unwatchable. I mean, it's something that I would say if you have the chance to watch it at home, that's probably a better situation to put yourself in. But it's unique. It's far from terrible, is what I would say. I don't think it's unwatchable. Tom Holland, he can hold a movie. There's how many movies where they've tried to, just force feed us an actor where it's just like, I don't care about this guy. Tom Holland is quite the opposite. I was engaged with him and believed the emotion that he was putting up on screen. I mean, shit, they literally showed us his emotion. But yeah, it's not terrific. It's not terrible, but it's not terrific. Like I said, I split it right in the middle, 2.5 out of 5. So it just doesn't go anywhere. Is the unfortunate thing. It just really doesn't. There's no arc. It's this planet where men's ideas and memories can be seen, but not women's. And that's it. Like I said, it's a neat gag, but that's really it. They don't really do anything with that.
Do they?
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, did they open it up for a sequel? Because I know the books is a series.
I guess it's possible. I mean, yeah, it's certainly possible.
I'm looking at the
there aren't major deaths, I guess is the best way to
okay. I'm like, what does it mean possible? Okay.
So where did this Chaos Walking name come from? Because I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and the book was called The Knife of Never Letting Go. And while I don't know what that means, that's a better title than Chaos Walking.
I agree.
And
some figurehead was like, "No, it's not."
Yeah, we need it quick. You got to be on the tongues, quick.
Yeah. And then the sequel, I guess, is called The Ask and the Answer. And once again, I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I like it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I would have preferred that as well. JK Ransom Reviews, late to the party. Did you guys cover the Child's Play series updates?
What with the cast?
Clearly not.
No,
what do you have, Chauncey?
Well, just that the cast was revealed a few days ago, and it includes some
Devin
people.
Sawa.
Jennifer Tilly, who was from Bride. It's Jennifer Tilly. She was the one in Bride of Chucky, right?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. So she's returning, and there's a few people that from before and newer people. So
Cool.
Yeah, Devin Sawa is, I think, the lead for the show, and like you said, Jennifer Tilly and the voice of Chucky, Brad Dourif, are returning. So, they have their cast in place. Again, it's hard to comment on stuff where we don't really have much information, but I just hope they do rated R type stuff, because Child's Play has never been a PG type thing. Yeah,
it's not for children.
So like I don't know what channel is it going on? Sci-fi. Yeah, that makes me nervous. I'll be honest about that, because that's not a completely, that's not R-rated. It's a cable channel. It's not.
I just read the synopsis for the series. I don't know. It says the series begins when a vintage Chucky doll turns up at a suburban yard sale. An idyllic American town is thrown into chaos as a series of horrifying murders begin to expose the town's hypocrisies and secrets.
Oh boy.
Meanwhile, the arrival of enemies and allies from Chucky's past threatens to expose the truth behind the killings, as well as the demon doll's untold origins as a seemingly ordinary child who somehow became this notorious monster. What?
I thought the origin was it was Charles Lee Ray, and he summoned the doll, and we saw the origin.
We may be getting a re-origin story.
That's what everyone loves. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah, a re-prequel.
This sounds like a soap opera with a doll in the middle, like his allies. This people from his past, the town's secrets. I'm like, what is this?
And a new lover.
Right? And if Jennifer Tilly's coming back, well, clearly an old past love. And she's going to probably bring his son from that horrible movie of Chucky, Brian and the Son thing. I don't know. And sci-fi, sometimes they can be really ridiculous with their stuff. But I do know the guy that's doing the series is the original person who wrote it. So he knows it. And I could not sit through the remake that happened the other year.
2019?
Yeah, I couldn't sit through it. I just felt so sorry for Chucky. The way they redesigned him, I felt like he was he was kind of like a child who was naive and learned wrong things. Yeah. And I didn't like that as an origin for this killer. That just makes me uncomfortable. Like he was like a child who didn't know any better.
Yeah, just getting the wrong information.
He just gets corrupted. And I'm like, nah, I'm not okay with that. I felt too sorry for him to want to watch something happen to him. Like when the mom puts him in the closet, and I was just like, this hurts me. Like, why am I so sad about this? I got to turn this movie off. Like, I am feeling emotions that should not be happening in a Chucky movie.
Yeah. It's strange. Like, I don't know how you can stretch a slasher into a long series. Like,
they do it a lot.
Well, films, yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. That's
well, even you have a point. Even there, they kind of run a little dry with their ideas. So, prove me wrong. I Lindsey, you have any thoughts about it coming up?
I mean, I've never really been a huge Child's Play fan. The only ones I've seen are like the first one, Bride of Chucky, in 2019. So
that's an interesting setup you have there. Yeah.
I mean, just the high points, none of the lows. I mean, Bride of Chucky was amazing. Jennifer Tilly is such a gift. Yeah, I hope it's good. I like I almost said Mark Wahlberg. I liked Mark Hamill as Chucky, but
Yeah,
wasn't crazy about the movie. Oh, what's her face was in that too from Parks and Rec. I always really liked her.
Aubrey Plaza. Yeah,
Miss Plaza. Yeah, she's always amazing. So those parts were good. So yeah, I guess I like 2019. No, don't hurt me.
yeah. I don't hate it. It's like Chauncey said.
I felt too sorry for him.
Yeah.
I was like, that origin's not gonna work. They needed to do it where he was still the killer and the trapped in the body, not this young. Basically, he was pretty much a child. He was a Pinocchio. Yeah. He was like Pinocchio gone wrong, you know. And I didn't like that.
They tried something different. I'll give them credit for that, because I mean, I don't know how much you're going to recycle, but it was an interesting new take. I don't know if you've seen Wrong Turn, Chauncey. I don't know if you've seen the original.
Yes, years ago.
Yeah, so they tweaked that story, and I actually really enjoyed the 2020 version, whatever this new remake, whatever. It was an interesting diversion from the original story, and apparently a lot of Wrong Turn diehards out there really hated the direction it went in. And I was like, I liked it, but I'm weird. So Sean, €5, thank you. If Batman 22 does well, you think Joaquin Phoenix will appear as Joker in the sequel? You think it's certain? And thoughts on the Venom sequel? I don't know if Joaquin Phoenix would do a straight up comic book movie.
I thought he said he was open to it.
Oh, really?
Didn't he say he was open to it?
Well, then
looking that up right now, actually.
Also, that's actually connected to the other one. Ari Aster is actually working, from what we had earlier. He's working with Joaquin Phoenix for a new movie. So,
Ooh. A couple of snobby people working together, like it.
According to a report back in September of last year, Joaquin Phoenix was offered $50 million to return for a Joker 2. I don't know about that, but I mean, it did make $1 billion on about a $50 billion budget, so maybe.
So they're giving their budget to him.
Yeah. And then just
life is good, huh?
They'll just shoot it on a camera phone and just follow him like going down the street.
And it would work too, right? Joker, chaotic,
stay in your apartment. Yeah.
They'd call it a masterpiece. He'd get an Oscar nomination.
I'd be down. I guess it'll come down to what happens with Batman before we can even start considering that. I'm excited for the Robert Pattinson Batman. Just ever since there's been that shot of him just beating on a dude until there's just like squishy meaty sounds happening. I'm just like, oh, okay, so Batman's going to be an actual insane person. All right.
I like that the Bat logo is like gun parts. Like that was really neat too.
It's the gun that killed his parents, or supposedly. That's what I read online. Maybe.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that information, but you know,
sorry.
as long as you said it, not me, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, there you go. I also, I don't know. I just like that director too. It's the same director that did the Planet of the Apes movies, right? I feel like those are some of the most unsung movies of the last decade. I love
those are pretty good. Yeah,
probably the most solid threequel, solid trilogy that I could think of.
Yeah.
In a very long time.
Yeah. And I had no hope for them either. I was like, oh, more Planet of the Apes. We've already got 1 billion of these. And then I watched the first one. I'm like, oh, okay. And then the second one was even better. And the third one was just like, yeah, okay. Wow. I'm really glad they made these movies.
And a Venom sequel? What do we have on that? I mean, Woody Harrelson, right?
We know that there's going to be Carnage, both the character and
in film.
And yeah, in cheesy dialogue. I like the first Venom just because it's so weird and just so like that scene where he gets inside the lobster tank is just so good. Like I always wondered, like, he's supposed to do that, or the day of shooting, did he just like climb inside the lobster tank and they're like, oh, we're keeping this.
I doubt that wasn't scripted, but
I know. I like to dream though.
You can leave it to your heart there.
Yeah, I enjoyed the Venom movie. So I'm excited for the sequel. I think, the thing with Sony, they're trying to do their thing. I don't know when Morbius is supposed to be coming out with Jared Leto, because I know it seems like they filmed it. And I think the hope is that eventually, once they decide to bring Tom Holland back into the fold of Sony, because, Sony actually owns Spider-Man and they loaned him out to Disney. So I think eventually they want to bring him back so they can have their kind of whatever they're doing.
Whatever they're trying, yeah.
Of Marvel fringe character. I don't know, because it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah,
because them owning certain characters.
They're going to take over eventually. Just let it happen.
So I liked the Venom one. I thought it was funny, and it was a simple comic book movie, and we don't get those a lot sometimes anymore.
Right. That's what I felt like the Ant-Man movies were. Just very contained and didn't really need this scope. Forgive the pun, but it seemed to work as its own little personal private story there, and the same could be said for Venom.
Yeah. And I guess I was saying with Joaquin Phoenix, if he wants to do the Batman, that's fine, but it seems like we're getting to the point where maybe doing Joker is a rite of passage for people, so maybe they'll get someone else by then too, although it'll probably be, I don't even know what universe they're in, to be honest. Because is this an alternate? It's like, is this an alternate Earth? Because we have a Black Superman movie coming out, and I'm just like, what Earth is this? Like, where is all this taking place? Is this one off? Are these alternate Earths going on? I don't know. So
and what if Snyder's cut is like huge and people are like, oh, keep going. Like seriously, what if the Snyder cut?
They're already calling for that. People are already online are now saying like not release the Snyder cut, but restore the Snyderverse. So there's already a movement to
already. Yeah. I love it. And they could do it. They could do it. If this makes a huge splash, I see them being able to do it. They got this much done. Why not?
Sure.
Honestly, they're helping them.
Yeah, it's just strange. It's like you brought up like what. All right, so what universe, what timeline are in? What because apparently they went back and filmed stuff with Jared Leto. So what if he's, incredible in this, and people are like, oh, never mind, we have our Joker again. And it's like, hold on. You guys are making plans with Joaquin, and then suddenly you get this guy back, and I don't know. It's wishful thinking for me to just project chaos onto them, but they gotta make their bed before they lay in it, I think.
It's so fragmented right now, unfortunately. And it's my thing is either just make the decision. Like, are you trying to do a cinematic universe, or are you going to, basically make one-offs, which it's not horrible to do. I feel like they kind of thought, well, Marvel's doing this, so we have to as well. But I wouldn't have been against them just kind of making movies based on these characters, and never the 2 or 5 or 7 shall meet, and if it was going to be good, that would have been fine. But unfortunately, and then, you got studio interference. That wasn't great. So that's also been things that affected, because a lot of people claim that the studio interference was the reason why Batman versus Superman was so polarizing. And same thing with Justice League. And
Fantastic Four, apparently. Mr. Trank, has he worked since then, by the way? Has Josh Trank had a job since Fantastic Four?
He did a movie recently, actually. I think it was a relatively small thing.
You don't say.
Hollywood, they only remember your last flop, unfortunately.
I'll look it up here. I don't quite remember what it was, though.
Sean, he says going to do Jokers in a sequel. Who else you get? Oh, you mean to play the Joker? Who?
Besides Jared Leto and Joaquin.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. Oh man, that's shit.
I'll do it.
Go ahead. Yeah, let's get Lindsey. Let's start that hashtag Lindsey for.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything next weekend. Call up Hangover Bro and Todd Phillips. Let's make this happen, man. I got makeup in my closet. I'll get all cartoonish. Let's go. I'll even go Cesar Romero style. I won't even shave the mustache. I'll just put the makeup on over it.
I think it also depends if you're going young or old too, or whatever, you know, like, I mean, yeah, I don't, it's cause, you know, the thing with Joaquin Phoenix, he would be great for Robert Pattinson's Batman, right? Because Robert Pattinson's Batman is supposed to be darker, more edgy. So you have the Joaquin Phoenix that's straight up just like gritty villain. And then Jared Leto's Joker is really great for Batman, for Ben Affleck's Batman, because of the way it existed with Suicide Squad and him, Batman being kind of tired, older, rich man, but not super gritty, but more so stoic and regal. So it works. So I think, to me, it always depends on who they're getting for the Batman. You know, like who's playing Batman, because that's when you know what kind of Joker you can get, and then you'll know what kind of actor can play him. I think you always need one for the other. I know they did that with Joaquin Phoenix, but even then, you know, he came out of nowhere. But I feel like they had remnants of the kind of, I think maybe they were setting it up for a Robert Pattinson kind of thing, just way more gritty. So those two are compatible, even if they're not going to be in the same movie.
Yeah, you know, that's a good point, Chauncey. They do seem to have that juxtaposition. I mean, Jack Nicholson was considerably older than Michael Keaton in the '89 version. The only real, like, where they were close is the Dark Knight, and you know they kind of played into that anyway. But I kind of agree with what you're saying, that you know it should be somebody that kind of is a counter to whatever style the Batman is. So off the top of my head, I really can't think of somebody that I would put in as a Joker right now. Like it's usually, you know, they pick somebody. I'm like, oh I'd like
Matthew
to see
Lillard.
Wow. Why?
Throwing a name out there. Like, he's tall, he's gangly, so like he looked good in like a suit that wasn't like really kind of fitting him right. And you know, I watched Scream again like a month or two ago. I think he could kind of really get that kind of that high energy going and maybe pull it off. I don't know. I'm just throwing names out there.
I think it might be a little too silly if he played it.
It all depend on the tone of the movie overall. That's
sure.
Absolutely true. Yeah. I guess that version, that would not work at all. Maybe a little more. But actually, I like that you brought up Batman, by the way, because someone in the chat brought up how much Jack Nicholson made off of that movie. So he was paid $6 million up front, but he got a back end deal that paid out more than $50 million when the movie made all the money that it ended up making.
$50 million in 1989 times. That's shit. That's a $250 million, I would say, at this point.
He could probably buy a country.
JK Rants, hear me out. Ashton Kutcher for Joker.
Talking about silly Joker, I mean, I don't think I think he could do it. Again, it would depend.
He was dramatic in Butterfly Effect.
He was very good. and in Butterfly Effect, that's a movie not a lot of people talk about, but he was pretty good in it. I don't know if it aged well if I watched it today, if I'd like it, but back in the day, I liked it.
Yeah, I don't know if I would put him as the Joker though. That's I don't know. With the history of people that have played him, I don't know if he has that charisma.
Who was the guy who played Pennywise? Like, maybe he couldn't do it.
I was just thinking that. I was like, he'd be, because honestly, he played Pennywise like Joker.
Right.
That's a good point. Yeah.
He definitely played Pennywise like a Joker type character.
I have a name in my head and I'm trying to think if I want to say it out loud because I don't want to look like a fucking moron, but Michael Fassbender.
That'd be scary Joker. You're going
he's got the smile. Like,
he's got the intensity.
Smile.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen anything from him that would suggest that he could do it.
That he could do like insane.
Yeah.
Did you guys see what was the DC movie he did with Megan Fox? Oh, no. He was a bit part. It was Jonah Hex. That's what it was.
Oh.
He was Michael Fassbender played like this kind of kooky, like killer Irish dude in it. I'm not saying the Joker needs to be Irish. I'm just describing the character. And it was, Michael Fassbender is usually a very controlled actor, but this guy was kind of just all over the place. So if there was a role you'd pull from for that, I would say look to that movie to see if he could do it or not.
It's a good point, Jacob. Jacob says Harvey Dent if you're going to do Fassbender. That's Skulder. Sam Rockwell as Joker.
Oh, I could see that.
I like that.
definitely see that. He'd be really great as that character.
Also,
No.
respect for even just bringing up
Yeah,
Sam
good
Rockwell
point.
to the
Right?
record, bro. Like, he's
People
one of the most.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say he's just incredibly underrated and nobody knows who he is.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Yeah.
But then when you mention them, people are always like, yeah, that guy. Yes.
Yeah, we all
Totally.
kind of lit up. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
100%.
he's great. He'd be great as that
Mhm.
character.
Yeah, no. You won us over, Sculler. Good job.
You win.
Paul says Tom Green.
No.
Oh, that's a good point, Zachary. The guy who played Gotham in the TV series, the guy from what's that Showtime series he was in? Shit, with Willem Dafoe. No, William H. Macy. Excuse me. Shameless. He's from Shameless as well.
Oh, okay.
A redhead guy. Fuck. Yeah, it's a good point, Zachary. If I remember his name, it'd be one thing.
See if I can find
Anthony Hopkins as the Penguin. We're getting a little silly now, guys.
I mean, I'd watch Anthony Hopkins do anything, so sure. Go for it. Maybe a slightly different direction than the I can't think of the name right now, but the last time
Danny DeVito.
Yes, maybe not the same Danny DeVito Penguin, but I'd be down. Sure.
Yeah, that's his name. Thank you.
Cameron Monaghan. Yeah, I literally just found it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's so many options. For me, once again, I feel like it'd be like, who's playing Batman? Like, is he going to be a Batman movie? Is he going to be? Because you also have to think, Joaquin Phoenix, of course, could carry a solo Joker film. We saw that, right?
Yeah.
Where no
He
Batman
didn't need
comes
anybody.
in.
Yeah.
And the other question, sometimes it's not like a pro or a con. You have some who can stand on their own, and you have some that are so great with a Batman. Heath Ledger's Joker was so great against Christian Bale's Batman. It worked. Would I have seen just a solo movie of him? I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have. But the way the dynamic worked, it was really good. I wouldn't watch a solo of Jared Leto's Joker.
I agree.
But I think he can be really good in a quality Batman film, depending on the tone of it, especially if they kept Ben Affleck somehow. Because once again, I have no idea what they're doing at this point. Someone said earlier in the chat about Amber Heard possibly getting fired from Aquaman and things like that. It's shakeup. They're in shakeup mode right now, to be honest.
Plus, I mean, we talked about it before. If something works, they're going to throw money at it. So if like I said, if Justice League somehow works and they want Ben Affleck back, money solves all, I would say. What's his face didn't want to be 007 and they said here's 75 million. I mean, fuck.
Now they can't release the movie.
I'd love to not be into work and get paid $75 million to do something I don't want to do.
Right.
And like I said, they just can't get it out neither.
We paid $75 million for this poor guy, and now no one will pay them anything for the movie. I remember they were trying to sell it for $300 million last year or something like that, and just
didn't Netflix lowball them or something like that?
Yeah, I think everyone they went to lowballed them.
Is 007?
Yeah.
A Good Day to Die or A Bad Day
No
to Die?
Time to Die.
No Time to Die.
Time, because that's all they've had these last 2 years is fucking time.
Yeah, it's a shakeup. I don't know. I feel like I said, I think they should just do solos at this point, because when they do a really good script, it just worked. Like we saw, Joker stood on its own. I know not everyone loves it, but depending on what you were expecting, it's like it really worked for a solo, and he doesn't need to meet up with Batman somewhere later on. But Marvel kind of set the tone for having it so that we needed to connect all of them.
Sean says, you had a Joker who made $1 billion and a Batman without Jokers, like fries without ketchup. No, Joaquin Phoenix won't be in a sequel.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No chance. Yeah.
No chance. Phoenix. Right. I think, but if you're saying that Batman without Joker is like fries without ketchup, we've seen Batman without Joker. Mm-hmm. This was the first time we've seen Joker without Batman. So Yeah, that's a fair point. I don't know if they're necessarily married to one another the way you're implying, because they have done Batman without Joker. So, yeah, I don't know. They've done Joker without Batman. So, and yes, it made $1 billion. So go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I think they're very much connected, but I think this is the problem sometimes with DC. The same problem with Marvel at times when like it was all when they screwed over Cyclops and X-Men because they really wanted to push Wolverine. And of course we got that great Hugh Jackman, Logan, and all that other stuff. It's the same thing with DC when it comes to Batman, where you know, the Batman animated series showed that there was just so many other interesting potential villains for Batman to deal with and complex characters of Gotham. And, you know, I think a lot of people, for whatever reason, really latched on to Joker for, you know, in a valid way, but so much so he's kind of been, I feel like a little bit kind of crammed down our throats a little bit as Batman's main villain when there's just so many others. You got Clayface, who has a wonderful story, you know, and that could be a very good potential. I mean, even Two-Face has a very good potential for what they could do with that. You know, this guy is kind of crazy, used to be a politician, things like that. And yeah, we always default to the Joker. And I don't know if that's just because of projection, because a lot of dudes want to be Joker. Or something.
All the incels right now. That's
yeah, and I don't know if that's what it is, because it's kind of like the same thing with Wolverine, where a lot of guys want to be Wolverine as opposed to the Cyclops. So yeah, I just feel like that's what determines it sometimes. And unfortunately, what happens is we don't get so many other very interesting characters, especially in Gotham. There's just so many interesting characters in Batman's world,
Chauncey,
and we don't get enough of them.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer a grounded villain or somebody who's, you know, larger than life and extravagant?
I think it depends. I mean, like, I'm super excited for Darkseid in Justice League and how he's just like this larger than life type character. I know today people were making comparisons between him and Thanos from Marvel, and Darkseid would completely beat Thanos because he's just
shots fired.
I know he would though. And so I think it depends on the plot line. You know, I like sometimes smaller and grittier, you know, and grounded, but sometimes when it's, and especially, and that's the beauty of Batman, because he's able to do that, because Gotham is its own city. It has it's a New York on coke, you know. It's just so much
because
going
New York
on.
isn't on coke.
Extreme coke and meth too, you know. Like yeah. So I think in that sense, I like more grounded Batman. Even though I will admit, Dark Knight, Nolan's Batmans weren't my favorite because I felt like there's a weird thing. It's just I felt like his Batman wasn't my Batman.
It seems like comic fans really don't like that trilogy for some.
It's weird.
reason.
I don't know. I think he took out. There still needs to be a comicness to it, right? It's like I like grounded and gritty, sure, but it's still from things started out a comic book, you know. Like, you know, respect that material a little bit. And yeah, I think it depends. I think with Superman, you need bigger than life because he's an alien and he has superpowers. Yeah. He's not going to be fighting the Joker. He's not going to be fighting Harley Quinn and them because he doesn't have to. But with Batman, you need it more grounded. I think it just depends on the superhero.
I've always thought that they should do Riddler, but have him be really, really grounded and almost like Jigsaw, like have him be like fucked up.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Batman does so well with those kind of villains. Riddler, there was what's his name? Because he's the whole thing with the calendar and things like that. Hush, like he just does so well because one of the things is that Batman's villains are also what makes the Batman world so compelling. And as opposed to bigger than life, I just want to take over the earth or I want to destroy the earth kind of characters. So yeah, there's so many, and they just keep doing Joker. They just keep doing Joker, and there's so many other ones to pick. But there's so many other ones to pick from. It's just kind of weird.
Well, it's a reliance on wanting to go back to things that work. It's like the same reason why the X-Men movies in 18 years did the Dark Phoenix storyline twice, and two completely different casts. And
like there aren't other big ones, right?
yeah. There's so many. Like at least if you're gonna do it the second time, at least go up into space and like get
Right?
the Mcron crystal in there. Like, come on, like they're not the only ones too. Like what was I had another example where they keep just kind of doing DC. Like I'm not trying to be controversial, but like they tried to do both Death of Superman and the Dark Knight Returns in the same movie, and like those are two very good movies that you just kind of blew into one movie. Like why'd you do that? Why you do that?
Yeah. And yeah, you're right. They do what works. And it's weird. I've also, as with my second existential crisis I've been having, is that I've been really enjoying what Marvel's phase 4 might look like because of the fact, and I never thought I'd say that, where it's like, I feel like they're going in new territory. They're bringing on the Eternals, and you got people who are like, who are Eternals? What's that? But it's a whole new ball game in terms of the lore, in terms of their origins. It's not just your cookie cutter Marvel formula if they do it right. And they're doing that with a lot of the characters they're bringing into phase 4. And they're bringing in characters that aren't super popular or known necessarily. And I think it's not really a chance because it's Marvel. Everyone's going to watch it anyway. But to do that, even when you could stay safe, I think that's the problem with DC. They're doing the same thing they do with their comics, which is they do these reboots all the time. Every couple of years, it was New 52. Then a couple of years later, they did Rebirth. And it was just like, just stick with it. Just build on this, please. Instead of a new whole one of the legacy characters.
Well, isn't that like a how like Marvel versus how like DC does it? Because this isn't Marvel. I think it was explained to me once time as like a sliding timeline. Like no matter what the event is, no matter how long ago the comic book came out, like Captain America came out of the ice a few years ago. Secret Invasion happened a few years ago. Thanos happened a few years ago. You never do the specifics of it, so you can kind of keep like the state of things loose like that.
It works.
DC, I'm not a huge comic guy, so I can't really say what does and does work. I just kind of I know the theory. I guess,
Lindsey, what about you? Do you prefer villains to be grounded or a bit more extravagant?
It depends on the tone. If I'm playing the villain, I usually want to get a little big and crazy with it.
Stop casting yourself into these movies and just answer the question.
No, when Hollywood starts putting me into movies, then I'll answer the question. It really just depends on the tone, the story being told. But I do like a villain that's kind of kooky and a bit out there. Like we talked about Simon Phoenix earlier in Demolition Man. Like, God, is that villain good enough?
Yes.
Like he doesn't even need like a motivation. Like he's just a big crazy dude doing crazy stuff.
Yeah,
and it
chaos.
Just works.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Same with that version of Joker that went with that. And I don't know. Like what's the quote from what's his name who made all the horror movies? Hitchcock. That's the dude.
What's his name?
I'm sorry.
I would have forgot too. Don't worry about it.
Why doesn't anybody ever call the police during a horror movie? Because then the movie would be over. Sometimes you have to forego a bit of realism in order to make the story work. And
it's true.
And if the story works, fuck realism. If it,
that's very true. I agree with you.
On the subject of Eternals, have you seen Nomadland, Chauncey?
No, I've heard good things though.
Yeah, I'm excited
because she's doing it, right? The director is actually doing the Eternals, and there's been some changes. Like they changed some genders, they changed races of a lot of the characters, kind of most of the characters. They changed a lot of stuff, but I'm excited for it. And go ahead.
I was just gonna say her cinematography is freaking beautiful. So this movie's gonna be gorgeous, or at least based off Nomadland. Maybe that was a fluke. I don't know. We'll see. But
I mean, I'm excited just because and we have Angelina Jolie is gonna be in that one, and Salma Hayek too, which is cool and stuff. I'm just excited to see Angela. Wait a minute. What's the shade you're throwing here?
I just young anything for the kids.
I'm actually excited that they're not going that route, that there are older types in it. I'm like, like honestly, if you even look at the Marvel comics, a lot of them are older. The only ones who tend to be really young is when they do the young ones, and those don't even always get read the most. You know, it's usually the older characters who are married and having kids and stuff who people like to read more about. So it's just weird how Hollywood skews so young. So they always have to try to make everyone just now like bachelors who are 20 or something when that's just not the way it is in the comic books.
And isn't this the movie that Kumail Nanjiani got like way too ripped for a couple years ago?
Yeah.
I want to see those abs in action. Like, give me all that. I'm tired of looking at Chris Pratt's abs. Give me some new abs.
No, yeah, he got that. And it looks like it's a very diverse cast. So I think Marvel's kind of taking some chances that, funny enough, I never thought, because I always thought DC was the one that was a bit more pushing the envelope. And I feel like in a weird way, they've been playing it safe. I guess, than Marvel, which is weird to say.
I don't think DC's afraid to make an R-rated movie, unlike Marvel.
The R-rated movie part is there, but it's the R-rated movies that are the same stories, you know. And in terms of storytelling chances, they don't do that, you know.
Sean says, "I hate Twilight, but Joaquin Phoenix versus Robert Pattinson is the dream." You need to watch Good Time. Robert Pattinson's quite good.
He's a great actor.
Tenet,
Lighthouse.
Right. You know, Twilight's the past. What, a decade now?
Harry Potter.
Ago? That's even before Twilight.
I know. I just throw it out there just because I knew someone would bring it up in the chat. So. Well, let's see him in a Twilight, in a Batman first, but he's proved that he can be an adult and not a sparkling vampire. I think that was it. We're all caught up. Is there any news that I missed?
I was going to talk about Pepe.
Oh, please do.
Talk about that frog.
Yeah.
I wish it was the frog.
Right? Well, no, they, with the upcoming Space Jam 2, there was first the whole thing with Lola, right? With like her redesign as a character, how they, gave her a breast reduction and a full shirt. I appreciate the full shirt, not so much the breast reduction, because it was just like, justice for big boob women, because it was like, the director or the director of it was like, oh, I wanted to make her less sexy and more strong. And I'm like, well, are we saying like the itty bitty titty crew people are somehow not sexy and that the big boob people are not strong? So it's a little weird, especially since it was a guy who was saying it. But with Pepe Le Pew, that character, the skunk who can't take no for an answer, but in a sweet way.
Persistent.
He's persistent. They've totally cut him out of Space Jam 2. And I think there was a scene in it that was already filmed that dealt with someone teaching him about consent, and they cut it out, and now he's not even appearing in the film now. I feel like, unfortunately, it all kind of happens in the same way where it's like nuance is lost because, people are like, first Mr. Potato Head, now Dr. now Dr. Seuss, and now they're taking out Pepe, so it's, but it's all not the same thing, right? Those are three different kind of very different situations. But of course, the backlash is kind of similar where people kind of take their stances no matter what. I would have liked to see Pepe in it. They could have just toned down his behavior.
Right. Or explained it. You said that they filmed a scene where he explained, or LeBron James explains why he is the way he is, right? Yeah,
it's they filmed the scene. Scene was filmed by the Pic's first director, Terrence Nance, and under the director of Lee, Pepe Le Pew was eliminated from the sequel a while ago and never animated for the live action footage, which was shot. According to sources who saw a rough cut 3 months ago, they didn't see any kind of cameo from the skunk, but they did say that there was a film scene.
Interesting.
Yeah. Here it is. They explain what it was. Pepe was set to appear in a black and white Casablanca like Rick's Cafe sequence. Pepe playing a bartender, starts hitting on a woman at the bar played by Santo. He begins kissing her arm, which she pulls back, then slamming Pepe into the chair next to hers. She then pours her drink on Pepe and slaps him hard, sending him spinning in a stool, which is then stopped by LeBron James' hand. James and Bugs Bunny are looking for Lola, and Pepe knows her whereabouts. Pepe then tells the guys that Penelope Cat has filed a restraining order against him. James makes a remark in the script that Pepe can't grab other tunes without their consent.
Yeah, I would have left that, to be honest with you. Like, if you're going to do these movies with these characters that, probably don't fit in today's day and age by your standards, then don't do the movie.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure I could find something on Bugs Bunny that would be deplorable and terrible by today's standards. It's a message
between like a couple of like throwaway gags that Bugs Bunny's done in like this entirety of his career versus a character who's just kind of a one-note character. Now, it's not to say that they couldn't have done something else with him. Like, the scene sounds interesting. I would have loved to have seen the scene. I'm not going to judge it without seeing it. But when a character is just like it's like, what is it, Speedy Gonzalez? Like, when I was a kid, I loved Speedy Gonzalez, but like, his joke is he speaks bad Spanish and he runs fast. Like,
yeah.
Is there any more levels to it than that? Is it like I don't know. I feel like every Speedy Gonzalez bit is him just like running into a mouse hole and Sylvester being like 2 seconds too late and just, like careening into him. Who knows? Maybe I'm overthinking it.
And it's funny because the actress who plays in it, Gracie Santo, was actually upset that they cut the scene because she said she has been a victim of sexual harassment and has even spoken out against it. And she has like a foundation and things like that. And she actually thought, it was good to have that scene because he finally gets called out for it and corrected. Right. So it was like, why did you cut that scene?
Yeah. You could have actually you could have had the character grow too after that.
Yeah.
Like learning how to ask for consent first. It just feels like it's a missed opportunity. If you're going to focus on it, then, have it be a lesson. Like Christina says, isn't it better they kept the scene teaching consent instead of taking out the character, as it would have been a teachable moment? I cannot agree more, to be honest with you.
That's an interesting conundrum there. My noodle's going to be cooking that one all week, I think.
Yeah, because you kind of wonder on which side because I guess they had two directors and one left who had that original one. Then the one that came on decided to take it out. And it's kind of like, were they not okay with teaching consent? Or, were they just like, we don't want to make Space Jam too woke. And then suddenly they cut. Yeah, right? It's like, release the Pepe cut. But yeah, it's kind of weird because now that we, say it, it's like, it's as though they should have kept it and it would have been okay, but maybe they were afraid they would be called like social justice warriors.
Well, you're going to get called that now anyway.
Yeah, because you cut them out completely. Like, why get rid of that character at all?
Well, because if they had gotten woke, then they would have gotten broke, as the universe always makes happen. Yeah. So they had to try to sidestep the entire issue. And they just created another issue. I don't know. I would have liked to have seen that scene. I hope it's a deleted scene, and I hope we live in a world where we can have deleted scenes, because I miss deleted scenes. I guess you can just watch them all on YouTube now, but it's slightly different.
Roger's got a hell of a point. Bugs was a cross-dresser. Yeah. That's not acceptable by today's standards, which would be called trans at this point.
I guess if he identified as a woman bunny.
Oh. Yeah.
I know we're getting kind of deep with, but yeah, isn't it, he's not, because there's a difference between drag and trans, right? Like, if a guy, you have guys that dress up as like, the stereotype of women, but it's really a theatrical thing for them. They don't consider themselves trans.
Yeah, that's drag. Yeah.
And then you have ones who, they, identify as trans women.
Yeah.
So it's a little different. I don't think Bugs ever said he identified as, as a woman bunny. Mm-hmm.
It's a form of gay panic.
It's like we have to have conversations like that in this day and age, but
Well, it's just a matter of just being respectful. Like,
Yes.
I noticed on Twitter as we're doing the show here tonight, apparently Steven Crowder dressed in drag and went into a gym in order to make a point about how gyms feel about trans people. And apparently he just kind of made an ass of himself, but he still posted the video anyway.
I'm
So I
shocked.
can't wait to watch that. But in the meantime, we actually, it's funny, we talked about this last week a little bit too, because we talked about Buffalo Bill a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, it's
just like what is trans, what is not trans,
gay
not like
/ trans panic. It is kind of relevant.
It's an ongoing discussion. Like with the JK still says silly things every now and again, and people are still claiming the bathroom thing while ignoring the fact that it doesn't matter what your gender is. You're not allowed to go into a bathroom and assault someone. Like it's just,
exactly.
It's illegal.
Like, that's the thing. Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, it all kind of lines up because you know, I recently did my latest published political article deals with the pro LGBTQ act, the Equality Act that the Democrats had tried to pass in the House. And, you know, one of the things it does talk about trans rights, talk about rights of all people, but also one of the things with the Republicans, their main thing was that same outdated kind of factoid they think they have of assault. And the whole thing, it would be the end of women's sports if, you know, you could expand how people could be, you know, so I mean, and just in connecting it to media representation, yeah, I think it's weird sometimes because even like for myself as a Black woman, you know, I want to see Black women characters in all facets. I want to see a villain. I'm loving that Jordan Peele is going to have Keke Palmer play a villain in his upcoming horror picture. You know, I want us to be the good girl. I want us to be bad girl, the villain, all of that. But unfortunately, sometimes when we don't have as many opportunities, it's kind of like, well, why do we always have to play? Sometimes Hollywood picks the more disparaging typecast as opposed to, and then I can't be happy that my character, someone like a Black woman, is always playing this. So I can imagine with those who identify as trans, you know, just this idea of, I mean, what was that one where the slasher film where she was where the boy had been raised as a woman?
The camp,
sleepaway camp.
Yeah.
So there's these, you know,
you can't have that ending now.
No, you can't have, and rightfully so, just because of the way it kind of plays out. But it's understandable because it's like, well, when do you get it's not so I don't think anybody should be off limits and never be able to play a gray character or a bad character. The problem is sometimes with certain groups, that's all they're given, you know, either unhinged or, you know, crazy or something else, you know. So I can understand that frustration.
Well, as we talked about last week again with this most classic example, Psycho. Just
right.
You know, and could you make Psycho today? Even with the ending that spends 15 minutes explaining it all, and it's kind of the worst part of the movie.
I feel like we're worried about certain points of view and the message isn't getting put across. Like, it's still bad for people to sleep with relatives, right? That's still bad.
Yes.
But
well, you know, I mean, consent is like, wait a minute.
Consent. No.
They're cousins.
Yeah, let's just say
that still happens.
Right. Well, no, right. But like, if
Rudy Giuliani, guys, like,
if there's this twist that they find out that their lover is actually related to them, there's this shock and you know, it's a bit of a you have this alarmed feeling with the character. Should it be that big a deal? Like, even if it were gay, trans, whatever, if the character comes to realize that, you know, the person isn't a part of a section of human that they think they're only into, it's a bit of a alarm, regardless of who it is.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, you take a twist on it and have a gay couple, and the person finds out that the person he's been sleeping with is gay or straight, excuse me. And that would be an interesting take if you want a representation and flip it on its head a little bit. I don't know. It seems like to be down the middle, they're cutting off so much stuff where it's just like you're not going to make everybody happy.
No, you're not.
And like Aaron says here, my question is, why would anything that touches on society or things that could be construed as woke or virtue signaling left, whether right or wrong, should not be anywhere near a cartoon movie?
I mean,
yes and no.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of decent cartoons teach lessons.
Yeah. I think it depends.
Yeah, it's kind of like we just said, like, they kind of take an opportunity and pull it away. Like you had something there. Why did you? Why? If you're going to bring the character back, why even do it?
I think when it comes to what we're dealing with now on like cancel culture and things like that, which has taken on a weird connotation. Because to me, I think cancel culture, the sound of the word cancel culture kind of trivializes real world stuff. Like to me, there's a difference between someone tweeted something about some singer or whatever like that. And not like, homophobic or anything like that, but just like, I didn't like this last album and it was crap. And it was like, we're going to cancel so-and-so versus someone who's like accused of rape. It's like, I don't want to hear cancel culture. I want to hear charges brought against this person. I don't think, and I think, no hashtag, just call the cops, like let's push for an investigation or something, and unfortunately things get so grouped. There is no nuance is so like non-existent on the internet. Like you can't even have everything's just so blanketed. Either you're on this side or you're on this side, and never the two shall meet. And I'm not a centrist by any means. I was talking to my partner, Michael. I was like, I'm starting to feel like I'm a flexibilist, like I'm for what works. I'm flexible, short of like Nazis and, murder and, hate against any group. Aside from Nazis, any hate against any kind of marginalized group, I'm flexible. What works.
Democracy.
If it works for the society. But unfortunately, there's just and I think Hollywood reflects that with the decisions they make, right? Because they kind of just pick. It's like, okay, who has the most money in this situation and what's their leaning? Okay, we don't want to piss these people off. We don't really care about pissing these people off this time. Or what's going to look better for us as a company? Okay, let's go with this. And it's not, and the thing is, they don't tend to care.
Oh, sure. It's
they
all
don't
bottom
care.
line.
It's just more like, okay, which are we going to get in trouble for this or are we not? And that's why Lola Bunny was changed and Pepe was completely cut out. Right. Because they figured, well, this is an obvious thing of we just need to give her a breast reduction and give her a full shirt. And it was just kind of like nuance lost.
Too,
and they took her athletic legs, and it's like nuance is lost because it was this whole idea of let's make her stronger. And you've kind of just also put out a message that if a woman has big boobs, she's just going to be distracting the whole time, which also perpetuates its own thing. Oh, yes, I know. But but it perpetuates this idea that, we should just expect it. If we have bigger boobs or something, that we're just not going to be listened to as much, and it's weird. And no one wants to hear stuff like that. Suddenly it's like, because I made a tweet where I was like, I was playing, but I was like, justice for big boob women. Like, why did they do the breast reduction? I'm glad she's got a full shirt. And, somebody they was like, you're being obtuse and that's not what defines this one. I'm like, come on. First of all, this is a cartoon. I really don't care. To be honest, what Lola Bunny looks like. I was just making a point because of, once again, the idea of this guy's going to get brownie points because of what he did to Lola Bunny, because, we just kind of go with what sounds right, as opposed to what makes sense in certain situations. So I think nuance really does matter in these things. And unfortunately, with Hollywood and its bottom line, I think that's also why you get the myth that Hollywood's a liberal place. And it's like, it's not liberal. Like there are like liberal actors and stuff like that. And certain things or whatnot. But some of these people that make a lot of the decisions are conservative.
Right.
Well, there's also the fact that, like, you make a movie about a billionaire becoming even more of a billionaire because he lays off all the people that at his company, and it's like that's not a compelling story. Like you need like a relatability in your main characters, and people in the lower class that are struggling typically just make stronger protagonists, and it just so it's harder sometimes to push conservative values, I think, than it is to push liberal values. That's not to say, like you have King of the Hill, you have whatever the Roseanne show was before she went nuts the first time and then nuts the second time, that they push those conservative values, and you're able to do it. It's just trickier.
Well,
and what do you want? You want a quick buck. So, you go for the thing that's pushing for equality just because it'll make you money.
If Hollywood was truly in touch with the way they're trying to project, Woody Allen would never work again. Roman Polanski would never work again. Bryan Singer would be officially called out. Kevin Spacey wouldn't be doing these weird things every fucking Christmas.
I look forward / dread those every year. Just like, oh God, what's he going to do this year? But I also can't wait. Like,
if Hollywood was as woke as they project themselves to be, they would have no problem outing these people and being on the right side of things. But it doesn't help them. And it's like you kind of brought up, they don't really care. It's what gets in their bank account. That's what they're worried about. Does this look good? Do they care? All right. Well, as long as I'm making money, and
no one started a hashtag about it yet. Okay, well, we can let this go.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not until they have a hashtag, and mind you, then it all comes out. Well, I knew about it. I had heard some stuff. There was a memo, and suddenly it's like, wait a minute. So it took the hashtag for you to decide that it was time to do something about something you so-called don't care for. How does that work?
Cowards. Yeah,
and it's weird.
It's also like, I hate that cancel culture has become like the term. It's not canceling, it's consequences. It should be
accountability.
Not even recently, neither. Dr. Seuss, that was an in-house decision to stop.
A right one too, given what the content was.
There's one that I saw with the Asian connotation. It really
it's
And if you look at his earlier cartoons, there were certain things he was pushing about, don't trust these people and stuff like that. And he grew, change occurred.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So I mean, that's great. He's not an H.P. Lovecraft. He didn't stay, racist throughout, and people still make his movie.
He didn't have a cat with a name that I won't say in public.
Right? He didn't make a poem of the N-word like H.P. Lovecraft did. So he grew, but I mean, the people who have his estate understood, we've grown, and we're sure he would also have probably wanted us to get rid of that and that history of that, perhaps. And I thought that was fine. And then you had to think of Mr. Potato Head or Potato Head, and what it does when you don't have nuance, it opens you up for crazy right winger types. Mm-hmm. To jump on and be like, look what they're doing. They're so crazy. And it's like, well, it's unfortunate because they're kind of half right when we kind of just go after everything. Yeah. And it trivializes the major stuff we should be focusing on.
Because if you look at the Potato Head situation, they simply wanted to change the label to Potato Head because they have different brands. You buy a Mr. Potato Head or a Mrs. Potato Head. And apparently they just wanted, for the sake of, printing boxes, they just wanted to have a Potato Head brand. And somehow they got forced into defending their choice and saying, oh, no. Mr. Potato Head's still around. Mrs. Potato Head's still around. And it's like, well, what the fuck? Why did you make a big deal of this? This backfired, you fucking morons. If you had just leaked it out, and nobody really gave a shit, nobody would have given a shit, but they made a big deal of it.
That's the trick of this year. People are always like, oh, Nike's hanging out with Colin Kaepernick. I'm gonna go burn my Nikes, and I'm gonna tweet about it all day and all night. And would you guys like to know how much Nike made in the wake of that Colin Kaepernick thing?
Money.
I think it's $7 billion.
God damn.
And they didn't make it because of the commercial. They made it because of how people reacted to the commercial. You may think that you're being anti-corporate by going against these things, but no, you're doing exactly what the corporation wants you to do.
today with that Burger King tweet.
Yes.
Where it
Oh,
was like, women belong in the kitchen, knowing they were going to follow up. But now everyone's eyes are on them and their new culinary program or whatever. And it's like, man, they just really be playing us like a fiddle. Because, you know, and we fall into it because the internet is very much echo chamber.
Reactionary, yeah.
Yeah, it's echo chambers. People hang out with each other who have the same opinions, but really sometimes the same opinions aren't even the same. They just kind of morph into group think. And because someone else has decided this is wrong, then everyone just kind of goes along with it because they don't want to be called out for not rolling with that. And that's on both sides. You know, I've seen it happen where people have discourse over a hashtag or something like that, and then suddenly they're being called sellouts, or they're called too radical, or they're called sellouts, or they're called not down with the struggle. And it's just like whatever works. Like, can we do what works for like humanity aside from Nazis? Can we do what works for everyone to be, you know, to thrive? And unfortunately, and so what you have on both ends is people going to the extreme for things that even when I hear some stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, is this really a thing? Are we really upset about this today? Like, did we really decide to get on and just be offended like today about this of all
pretty
things?
Bored.
It's weird. It's like, I mean, it's not weird. It's understandable because that's algorithms, you know, social media plays into that. They keep showing us the same stuff they think we're going to engage with. So what that does, it creates an echo chamber.
100% agree.
Chauncey,
and it's like, just a quick thing, like, because media is at least on the internet media, so maybe I shouldn't say media, but like it's increasingly being driven towards a place where opinion-based media is what people are consuming, what people want. They want other people's opinions, but not necessarily because they challenge yourself, but because like there's a reassurance to them. Like it's nice to have something that you're going to, like, it's nice to go to a theater and have the movie preach what you believe at you instead of challenging you. Like I talk about, like, you know, the God's Not Dead movies or Dinesh D'Souza, but that's how they make their bread and butter, because they're not challenging their audiences. They're just telling them what they want to hear.
Right.
And I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of that on the left too. Like Michael Moore's last movie. I've liked a lot of Michael Moore's movies. His last movie was crap.
He's annoying.
He's also very annoying.
Annoying.
He's very annoying. You're very correct on that. It's just like we all just need to be willing to be challenged, and and you know, like I'm guilty of this too. Like I'll watch a video of like a group of people that are like talking about something. It's like, oh, I hated that movie, and then like they're talking positives, and I'm like, no, everything you're saying about this movie is wrong. Click off you. Oh, thank God. You guys agree. Oh, like they saw the mistake that I saw. Okay, I'm not crazy. Like I'm guilty of it too. We all are. It's
people love those,
right? Yeah, we all want to feel like we were correct sometimes, but when we should be challenged. And
when it's movies, nobody's right. I hate to tell this.
Yeah, there's that too.
Nobody's right.
Well, I don't know about all that.
Me and Chauncey, we're always right.
We're only ones that are right. But no, I get you, and that's, I mean, just look at our culture of, you know, review channels. I mean, I think we talked about it months ago about which review channels get a lot of, you know, play and popularity, and whether or not they're true film critics or whether or not it's more so people identify with them. And it's like, I'm going to watch this person because he's going to say the stuff I know I'm going to like.
Chamber.
And it's echo chamber. And they become really popular because there's a whole bunch of people who are similar to them and just want to hear them verbalize what they already think to a certain degree. And does that make that person a film critic? Maybe they could be a film critic, but I mean, for the most part, that's not why they're popular though. You know, and it's unfortunate because the whole layer of like actual analytical aspect of it doesn't always get the most attention. You know, a person could talk about something like, let me give you the balances and stuff, and that won't get clicks. But if I put something like, you're going to hate this movie, and everyone's going to be like, yeah, let's see what's she talking about. You know what I mean? But if I say, well, it has some pros and some cons, no one's going to click on that. Yeah. They're going to be like, I don't know what she's saying anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't work.
And don't forget to put the red circle with an arrow pointing towards the red circle in the thumbnail.
So many people are angry on YouTube because it just works. Anger works. I hated this. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
People love watching those.
There's a commentary channel that I watched a while ago that they just do videos on the hot new thing of the week or whatever. And they did a review of Run, Hide, Fight. And they were just going off.
Man.
They're going off on Ben Shapiro for 15 minutes. I'm like, how often do people complain about the fucking producer of a movie? The guy didn't write the thing. He didn't direct it. What are we talking about here?
Yeah,
I've never discussed the producer as much as these people are getting into.
That's fair, actually. Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm with you. Black Christmas is a little too woke. God's Not Dead is a little too fucking heavy-handed with the Christian shit.
It's a little too anti-atheist.
Yeah. There's just the problem is there's just nothing here with Run, Hide, Fight. Is it a little offensive as far as the subject matter? Sure, but I never got a pro-gun, right-wing anything from that movie. But people, damned if they're not trying to make something out of everything.
I'll try and again to watch that. I know I keep saying that.
No rush.
I watched Safer at Home this week, which was. Oh man, if you guys want to watch a movie about people watching nothing happening, do I have a movie for you? But,
who's in this?
Nobody. It's called Safer at Home. It's from a production company that's done all kinds of random things. Like they did the movie version of Final Fantasy 15 and a couple of other random little horror things that looked vaguely familiar. But basically imagine Unfriended or Searching, where it's like an entire movie on like a phone screen or a TV screen. But like the thrust of the movie is it's 2024, 2023, something like that. We're in COVID outbreak number 6 or something like that. And while we're in COVID number 6, also the police states become a complete fascist militarized thing.
Of course it does.
But here's the silly thing about that. It's like, they're trying to play up how bad it is that these fascist police guys are keeping everyone inside while also talking about how the death toll is like 500 million. I'm like, look, if there's that many dead people, no, get your ass home and you don't leave, okay? Like, you put up with the police for a bit in order to keep the death toll under 1 billion. Maybe that's just me, but it's like supposed to be like a party where these people are like just hanging out and having a good time, and there's friends they haven't seen in a while, but then one of the guys like accidentally kills his pregnant girlfriend, and it's just like, what is this movie, and why is the protagonist the guy who's trying to avoid the police that just killed his like, it's like, what are you, movie, and what are you trying to say? It's an utter mess, but I loved it, not for why it wanted to be loved though. It's the best hate watch I've seen in a while. Sorry,
we are on the other end of 2 hours here. We should probably wrap this up.
I got a little feisty there. I'm sorry.
Lindsey, you want to take the screen? Oh, you good? Do you want to give us any news on what's going on with you before we head out?
Yes, if I have time, I'm going to do something silly about stay at home, safer at home, just for the sake of it. But I'm
stay at home.
Probably that's the prequel. Stay at home. Safer at home is a sequel, and Safest at Home is going to be the trilogy. I am currently scripting, and will probably be shooting tonight, and then spending the next couple of days editing a thing about WandaVision. So just look for that on my channel. My 2 cents of nonsense. I got a couple of other fires burning right now. We'll see what comes up out of those. But I'm getting back into editing. I took a little bit of a break, and I'm loving it. When I get into a timeline and I just start making silly things, I'm always just so happy. I need to stop getting away from it.
That's awesome. Chauncey.
Well, this week I'll be reviewing the new Shudder film original that came out called Lucky. That came out on the 4th, so I'll have a review up on that. And also the upcoming Shudder original film called Stay Out of the Attic, which deals with this Nazi dude. I'll be reviewing that this week as well, because that will be premiering on Shudder on the 11th. So I'll be doing a review of that. And I'll be doing a book review of the graphic novel Box of Bones and the DC series The Silencer this week.
Ooh. Awesome. And I'll probably be live sometime this weekend. And until I get news on the camera, I'm kind of stuck with my thumb up my ass.
I keep forgetting your webcam seems decent. Can you use that?
It's just so uncomfortable. Like I'd have to. I'm gonna have to learn to deal with it if this goes on much longer. But like, I don't like filming like this, and if I'm just free form spitballing, it's one thing. But to do something produced and semi-scripted, I just feel weird sitting at the desk and
I get you. Yeah, like an acting class, you want to be on your feet doing it. You don't
I
want to be
guess.
sitting in chairs.
I'm just making
like,
shitty
yeah.
excuses at this point.
Oh, then make your excuses, okay?
Yeah, but Fuego should be back with us next week.
Yeah.
And I don't think anything big is coming out this weekend, right? Right? No, nothing large.
We're in pre-Snyder cut territory right now. No
and
one
that's
wants to release anything.
That's a week and a half from now, right? Isn't it?
Oh,
is it Wednesday?
Is it a week from Wednesday?
The Justice League?
Yeah.
It's on the 18th.
So that's
Thursday.
That's Friday. Oh, Thursday.
It's on the 18th.
Okay.
Kind of like a movie premiere, right? Movies come out on Thursday.
8 p.m.
Yeah. Not like how Netflix does Fridays. Yeah, they're doing Thursday.
Oh, good.
I'm going to go get popcorn. I don't know how I'm going to get my hands on a slushie, but I'm going to get my hands on a slushie somehow.
Just keep it cold.
I'm so excited. Yeah.
So we have at least one more week before then. So thank you to everybody in the chat. Please behave and be nice to one another. Got a little out of hand.
Be nice to each other. Be mean to me.
Yeah, right. Be mean to me or Lindsey, but
not me though.
Yeah, not Chauncey. Off limits. We will be back. Like I said, Fuego. He has a couple. He's seen a couple of things. So I apologize for the mislead on the thumbnail, but we'll be talking about that a little bit greater in length. Next week, maybe Chauncey will have seen Coming to America. I don't know.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just push things back and discuss it next week. Sorry that we somehow got to politics again, but fucking, it just seems like it's always in the news. We can't escape it.
Politics be ticking. What are you gonna do?
All right. So for Lindsey and Chauncey, and again next week will be Fuego. I've been CP. Thank you so much. Have a good night.